Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell, and I am joined by three fine friends who have come to play some Enclave. Let's jump into it. Introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah, sure thing. Hey, I'm Lee. Some of you might know me, some of you might not. I've been working with Robbie for a bit on this. We're good pals. I'm excited to play some Enclave.
Perfecto. You are muted.
My bad. I hit the wrong button. Hi, I'm Aidan. I've played in this a couple times, and I have been itching for more. I cannot wait.
Good man. And lastly.
Hi, I'm Tom. First time playing Enclave, although I have reviewed it on my YouTube channel, and it looks a lot of fun, so I'm excited for that.
Lovely. I could not ask for better introductions. All right, my friends, the first thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be doing character creation. Now, we already have a player here who has a completed character. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to be going through the process, and we are going to have Aidan using Arus kind of as a template for some of the pieces that we go through. I'm guessing that you have done much of the character creation on your lonesomes. So in this case, just humor me. We're going to go through it piece by piece and rattle off whatever you have come to. So the first thing is class. What classes? We're going to go same order for this sort of introduction as we did in introductions for each step of this. What classes will you be playing?
Yeah, so today I will be playing a librarian.
Excellent. Aidan, what class you playing?
Sorry. You said like a word, and I thought that there was something else going on. I'm playing an illusionist.
Perfect.
And I'm going to be playing a gunslinger.
Excellent. So, when we are creating Enclave characters, the first thing we do is we generate personality. Personality comes down to three major traits, each tied to a stat, and two of those traits are going to be determined by your class's stat specializations, their stat mods. As such, the third one, however, you can pick whatever you want. So, because of that, let's go quickly through personality. Let's start with Arus this time, because he is an established character at this point. What is Arus's personality?
I believe like the stat line thing.
Yep.
Right. So I believe what I had said was it was smooth and confident.
Yeah, so he has.
I believe what I had.
I think you picked the reflex trait, namely smooth, and that is added to the sensory trait of alert and the arcane trait of ambitious.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lee, what do you have?
So I have, since a librarian's main stats are intelligence and spirit, I have opinionated and compassionate. And then I chose enthusiastic. It's my last trait, which is vigor-based.
Perfect. And Tom, what do you have?
Sweet. So the base gunslinger has confident and alert because of sensory and skill. And I went for tough as my personality trait based on resilience.
Excellent. I think that's... it's not only a great set for gunslingers, but resilience is an underrated stat on that class.
Tough slinger.
The tough slinger, yeah. Next one is going to be stats. In Enclave, stats are improved using pluses. Each plus represents a substantial jump in a given stats capacity and utility. When you first create a character, you distribute 6 stats. 3 of those come from your class's stat specializations. 1 of those comes from the chosen additional personality trait, and the last 2 you can distribute however you want as long as no stat is brought above 3. Because of this, Lee, what do you have for your stat spread?
Yeah, so for my spread, I have 2 pluses in my intelligence, 2 pluses in my spirit, and then a single plus in both vitality and vigor.
Yep, so you distributed into spirit and vitality as your elective ones.
Yep.
And if you could remind us of Arus's stat spread.
I have 2 pluses in sensory. I actually don't have the original stat line from the last time that we played, so I don't remember where the second one went.
I'm pretty sure I know what your stats are at this point. I think that you did double sensory, double arcane, double reflex. That's what I think you did.
Okay. Okay. We'll go with that. Why not?
If you find otherwise, let me know. But that's what I remember, and we're gonna go under that until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, sure.
And Tom, what do you have for your stats?
I went for. I kept my double plus in skill, and took sensory to a double plus and resilience to a double plus as well.
Excellent, nice and rounded. So next part is abilities, which is straightforward. We don't have to go over those because it's going to be the same regardless. But for your gear, you obviously have the 3 pieces of default gear, and then you get to choose 1 piece of elective gear to add on to that. Elective gear is pretty impactful and does a lot of different stuff. And because of that, Lee, what do you have for your elective gear option?
Yeah, so I took a scanner, which is able to sort of help identify and trace different elements in my environment, and I can sort of, get creative with what I want that to mean.
Absolutely. And Arus, his is pretty well established at this point.
I'm a big fan of that billowing cape. I did have a question I want to ask.
Yeah.
I actually did read the thing this time.
Yeah.
There was a section later in gear skinning, and I wanted to run by you something on that billowing
Yeah,
cape.
give me a skin.
Rather than a cape, can it just be a cloak?
Totally.
Like a hood that wraps around me? Alright,
Easy,
cool.
easy skin. We love it.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't say no. I just would ask.
Of course, I always appreciate that. And Tom, what do you have for your elective gear option?
I had a thought.
Yeah, walk us through it.
Would it be okay if I took the option to sub my elective gear for 2
Oh
common
yes, we love common items. Do it.
items? Okay. Because I was thinking kind of Monster Hunter vibes. So perhaps a few wooden stakes and some silver bullets.
No, that's so sick.
That's
Oh
a
my
powerful
God.
aesthetic.
That's so big dick. I love it.
Ooh,
Out here with
boy.
Van Helsing, I love it.
I think that since both of those items, if they were like straight mundane, would be like kind of shit, what we can say is yes, and they can have very light, appropriate magic properties. Just to make sure that they fulfill the fantasy of the item that I know you're trying to go for. You know what I mean?
Sweet, there's no worries. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, something I specify is that common items normally have to be completely mundane, but if it's something that would just be not helpful without a little bit of extra help, it can get a little bit of extra help. Like the example I use is a business card. Like, yeah, you can imagine how you would want to have a business card around, but it's just a piece of paper. So you got to make it a little bit more exciting to bring it up to like Enclave grade by giving it some little extra property. Excellent. We love it. That's a great set of items. Before we go further, just to let you guys know, you're welcome to type away in chat whenever you want. We have some responses already, and we love chat. Chat is fun to interact with. And the tank slinger is real. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sorry.
It's awesome. All right, and next, possibly most excitingly, your name, appearance, and background. Lee, fire away for Malaj.
Sure. So my librarian is named Malaj. The J does the because
Yeah.
why not? So appearance is a 6'3" albino skin looking individual, very pale, sort of purplish eyes, blondish, sort of like strawberry blonde hair that sort of pulls back and then sort of comes to 2 little neat little points almost alongside their head. Their overall features are relatively androgynous, though the overall physique is leaning a bit more towards sort of classic male. They have a key thing about their appearance is that they have these strange, almost sort of raised runes all across their body, specifically along the lines of where joints are, so along their wrists and knuckles, and from sort of along their smile line. Their overall ensemble is a sort of like early industrial era sort of pinstripe pants, shoes, a sort of green suede vest with a gray backing, and a nice shirt and a tie. Though their scholarly raiment is this incredibly sort of like Mesopotamian cloak that is sort of draped over it and has a tie that goes over the sort of across their chest. It's big in like deep blues and gold. Background, they're not fully human. They're a bit of a homunculus, almost like a construct. Nothing extreme that deviates from being human. But they were created. And their purpose is to seek out hidden knowledge and safeguard it for just a very greedy master.
Excellent. That is for anyone who has played with you before. That is a very Lee character. It's sick though. The aesthetics are gorgeous.
I needed a fun spin. And that's what I ended up with.
Yeah, it works. Aidan, give us a breakdown of Arus.
Yeah, Arus. I'm not gonna lie. I had not thought about like appearance a whole lot.
That's fine. You actually don't need to go into a lot of detail on appearance unless it becomes relevant on mission. You know.
Okay. Yeah. So he's like 5'10". So he's not nearly as tall as Malaj. But he's not like ridiculously short either. He's just like a guy, honestly. He's just like a dude. There's not really much to him. He doesn't really stand out that much like visually. He's just like like you picture like a man in your brain, that's him.
Any specifics about his background?
Yeah, so he for those of you that were here last time, you might remember, but basically he is an orphan, very like since he was like a baby, never knew his parents. Was kind of like drifted around from city to city, just like as a I don't know the word to use here, but like sort of like a city underling kind of thing, like not somebody who's like he was basically like homeless for the most part of like the majority of his life until but throughout that time he would have like these weird occurrences happen that he wasn't really sure what was going on until eventually he found this man who took him under his wing and taught him how to use these occurrences, which turned out was actually like this magical ability that he had until eventually he was approached by Enclave.
Excellent. And finally, Tom, give us an introduction to your character.
So, he's called Hellspawn, which is a sure as hell a way to lead. He is probably about a similar height to Malaj, except the skin is very much different. Instead of pale, there is a significant greenish hue. You imagine there's probably some orc in there somewhere, with two tusks, one on either side, making it a little difficult for him to talk. He mostly wears like heavy leathers and a large trench coat, like a leather trench coat that covers most of his body, and he's mostly conspicuous for his, despite the kind of rough-looking appearance, he is incredibly well-maintained and meticulously groomed. No scars, no scrapes on the face, no dirt at all. Background-wise, he was not a very popular individual, hence the name given to him by his own mother.
Sad boy hours.
He's made his living in a large kind of gritty sort of city, kind of like the East End of London, but with all sorts of eldritch and monstrous horrors. So he is really prepared for anything and takes a significantly cautious route in almost every case. His alertness is the only thing that's kept him alive all this time.
Marvelous. That's a great character. And something I notice about this group is that we have a very socially capable group just by their appearance and background. It's something that immediately jumps to my mind looking at the squad.
Man, Arus is going to need stilts to have any kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Just looking down on you.
It's alright, we can do the pity squat. We can do the pity squat and be like, hey, pal.
No, please do not do the pity squat.
So, from here, now that we have our characters introduced, the next thing we're going to do is generate the mission. I am going to ask all of you to each give me a focus word. Focus word is a word or a short phrase that I'm going to use to generate you a mission. It's going to be my inspiration for it. As such, focus words can be anything. They can, no guidelines, no specifics. Anything that's a word or a short cohesive phrase I can take. Lee, give me your first.
Sure. My focus word. I'm gonna roll with one we talked about earlier. Actually, I'm gonna do sycamores etched in iron.
Beautiful.
Wait.
All right, and Aidan, fire away.
Actually, I have one ready this time for the first time ever.
Ooh.
Because I thought about it while I
Send.
was working earlier this week. It's gonna be stampede.
Oh, excellent focus word. And Tom, what do you got for me?
I've been torn between two for some while.
Mhm.
Let's go with Green Knight.
Green Knight. This is a remarkably
The knight with a
cohesive set of
K,
focus words. I'm gonna leave it up to me to determine whether it's knight with a K or an N.
Hey, I'm down for both. One I know more about.
Oh yeah, I have ideas already. This is a really good set of focus words. I already have ideas, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go generate the mission. I'm going to pace around a little bit. If you need me, give a wave, and I'll try to be close enough to come and take a look. It should take me less than 5 minutes, and in the meantime, if you all wouldn't mind, giving a summary of your characters to each other, like a little breakdown. This is your chance to talk out of character about strategy, how you might react to each other, how you might synergize, that sort of thing. I will be back shortly.
Great.
Yeah. What's up? How's it going?
Anybody want to go first? And got things they want to let us know about their personage?
Probably wise if I say something at this point. This character is very much the self-serious, get stuff done type of fella. He's kind of no nonsense, which might be a bit jarring in terms of getting along with him, but there are things that can cause him to open up and get on board with what's going on.
Oh, that's gonna
Kind
be
of
fun
the
because
straight man.
that's gonna be fun because Arus so far has been a little bit of a jokester.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
so it's
I
gonna
love
be
it.
kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we got the very serious, and we have the jokester, and then Malaj, who is not aware that he's eccentric.
Perfect. Amazing.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. I'll have to let Robbie know when he gets back. I just got my email with the PDF in it.
Nice, nice.
Check your emails. Check your emails.
Good stuff.
Hype.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I might be a little slow on are some of the mechanical abilities that I've got. But that's
And that's
all good.
definitely like, check. Hey, Rob. So I'm seeing a situation
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely I chose librarian because it's very much out of my wheelhouse. I like being very like hands-on with stuff, and this is all the thinky think. So,
Mhm.
yeah, at least for me, again, my character's skill set and the class's skill set is very much aimed at, analysis and planning and sort of like, puzzle work. And especially with this character, the I'm doing a little bit of sort of like sort of function skinning so that it's a little, the way his abilities work are border into elements that are almost grotesque, in that
Wait.
he is a construct, so there's occasionally some chicanery there within, but yeah, I'm here to support as needed and be a talky person.
We love that.
Well, I have a question for you, Lee.
Yeah.
You said what was your focus word that you said?
Sycamores etched in iron. I was literally I was driving
like
down
sycamore,
the highway a couple days ago, and I came
sycamore
into my
like a
brain, and I was
tree?
like, is there another
hope.
sycamore? I don't know.
Oh,
There
okay.
could
Okay.
be.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't. Well, no, I was
God.
just thinking about it. I think I don't know any other definitions of the word sycamore, so I didn't know if there was something else that I was missing or not.
No, the big old honking trees.
Are those
Okay.
the ones
All
with
right.
the
Cool.
spinny? I don't know much about
Sycamores are
trees.
just-
Oh, the
tall.
helicopter seeds. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so.
Those are maples, I think.
Ah, shoot.
But I don't know a lot.
My tree
That
knowledge is
might
letting me down.
Hey, chat, what tree are we talking about?
Yeah.
Go.
Robbie,
Yes.
Tell us about trees, please.
I have an update for you.
Please.
I got my PDF.
Yes! Finally! Oh my god, that's such a weight off me, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't have to go bash my head against an email for another fucking 2 hours.
What?
Woo!
But you could. You could, though.
I could, but I won't. I already have a mission, by the way, so please take the time, keep on talking.
Yeah.
Especially if you haven't gotten to anyone yet.
Yeah.
I think we're just shooting the proverbial.
Shooting the
Yeah.
proverbial. I love it.
I'm sure that the gunslinger will indeed be shooting the proverbial.
More
Whatever
than
that
the
proverbial
proverbial.
be, they'll shoot it.
He just
moves.
rolls up into the room, gun out. Where's the proverbial? Where is it? Show it to me.
You walk into a saloon. All right, y'all. Who in here is the proverbial? Oh, let's butcher more of this language, shall we?
Sounds good.
Okay. I have your mission ready if you guys are good to receive it.
Yeah.
Always happy to receive.
Lovely. Okay, so let's begin with a mission statement.
Did anybody else lose Tom's picture? Or is it just me?
Oh, yeah. He's still from me too.
You're frozen.
What? Oh.
No, it's
Why?
just the Discord.
Oh, you're
loading
back,
thing
you're back,
for
you're
me.
back.
Oh, there he is. Oh, no.
Oh, I just turned it off.
I
Goodness
think
sakes.
that you needed to
I think
turn it off
you
for
turning
to-
it off fixed it. Yeah.
The real
Yeah.
turning off
But
was
it
the friends we made
happens.
along the way. Yeah.
How are we doing now?
Perfect.
The real friends we made along the way was old Wellens.
So, here's your
Proverbial.
mission statement. Your
Proverbial.
all the information going to be provided to you here is known in character, but you have the opportunity to ask questions out of character after I give you your statement. You can ask about anything, though the answer might be you don't know that. You can also ask questions that you don't think matter, but your character would care about, and that is perfectly fine as well. After this, we're going to move to assembly, and past that, we're going to begin with the mission. So here is your mission statement. You are going to a land of giants, specifically Hesh. This far-flung continent is known for having every landform, every hill, every river, every mountain being an animal. A colossal animal of such prodigious size that it can make the landform by itself. And Hesh has for quite a long time been a location for thrill seekers and adventurers trying to reap its bountiful magical rewards. You haven't tried alchemy till you tried it with ingredients from the land of Hesh. However, it is notoriously violent and hostile to anyone coming in and raiding it. This, however, might be coming to an end. A group of intrepid glory seekers, they call themselves Gerderons, has discovered a tree, old, bent, and unassuming, which they have started to call the Tree of Threads. What they do not know is that their interaction with the Tree of Threads is leading to something far more dangerous than has ever been seen before in the land of Hesh. Something that could lead to not only the land of Hesh becoming even more inhospitable to travelers, but perhaps even spilling out to affect the surrounding areas. Your job is to, we're not going to say infiltrate here, because it's not a humongous group of them, is to come among the Gerderons as another group of wanderers in the land, of which there are many, and find a way not to stop them from meddling with the Tree of Threads, but to find a way to keep them there long enough for Hesh to destroy them all, without dying yourselves.
Whoa.
Questions?
Okay.
How do you spell that word?
Which one? Gerderons?
Gerderons?
The G, the one, yeah, that.
Yeah, I have it spelled as Guederons.
Very French.
Glad you asked.
Geuderons. Gatorons?
Got that very
Gutterons?
wrong.
Gerderons, yeah.
Gearderons. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So, for clarification, we're to keep them messing with this tree until these spirits of the land are gonna stomp them out.
All that you know is that Hesh is coming to destroy them, whatever that may mean. They are very near to escape. They are near to their ships. You could keep them messing with the tree. You could try to fight them yourselves. Maybe not recommended, though, because they are fairly, or at least not en masse, a pretty hardened group. However, you do not have to keep them in a specific activity. You just need to make sure they cannot get to their boats and escape before they are destroyed by Hesh.
Follow up. Do we have any knowledge on what type of ships these might be?
Yes.
Sailing ships? Swing ships?
These would be tall ships augmented by powerful magic. The sort of thing that if they made it to them, they could escape even with a skeleton crew.
Like a boat or like a spaceship?
Like boat, like tall ship.
Okay.
Other questions? I think we are good then.
Nothing on my end. I will
yes.
say,
Pardon Lee, yeah, and then Tom.
I will say, way back in the olden days, before this edition of Enclave, I believe I was on the first Hesh mission.
You have been on 2 Hesh missions already. This is a setting
know.
I love.
That's why I
place
have no
seems-
questions.
Fucking awesome. Holy shit.
It's the best. I love it.
Tom, you had a question?
Just seeking clarification on the wording that you gave about describing these land spirits. Each terrain feature
Is an animal. A full, gigantic animal.
See that
And
giant?
that's-
See that
How
big
do you-
tree over there? That's a living thing in the sense of it can go and pick up its legs and run over there
Okay.
if it so wishes.
How is a river?
You shall see, possibly, if you interact with a river.
I'm very
Okay.
glad we didn't.
Okay. I'm as good as can be.
Perfect. In that case, we are going to move to assembly. This is when your characters get a chance to meet with each other at Enclave HQ before being deployed to the mission. As of now, you are in character, but of course, you can ask me questions and mention things and stuff out of character perfectly fine as well. Of note as well, assembly is fairly short. And so because of that, don't feel like you have to be filling time or reaching a certain length. Just do what character interactions you think are fitting and appropriate for this period of time. It's also a good chance for your characters in character to start to discuss the topic at hand. Any questions, or are we good to go? Excellent. In that case, you all are brought to a chintzy meeting room. Think like a modern office space, but the finest decorated one you can imagine. Impeccably clean, even kind of space age and futuristic in some ways, while still being classic and classy. However, it is decorated only in shades of gray with no color whatsoever. All the materials necessary for your mission have been laid out before you in terms of the information, maps of the area, everything that you could possibly want or imagine based on what I described in the mission statement. Let's begin. We will say arbitrarily that Malaj is the first to arrive.
Malaj, upon arrival, would see the maps and whatnot, and their eyes just sort of light up. They go over it, so as other people are sort of stepping in, they're poring over it and just sort of analyzing the concept of the terrain and sort of mumbling under their breath to themselves.
I should actually mention that now that you all have access to a map, to give you an idea of the area you'll be going to, it is on a beach The tree itself is like right on the verge of where beach meets like non-beach grassy area. And just beyond this area, there are like soaring cliffs, and a little ways off to the side, there is like a heavy mangrove-style swamp spilling into the ocean. The boats are within like an arrow's flight of the tree, and there is a camp built by the Gerderons ringing around the tree on the beach and the verge between beach and grassland. We will say semi-arbitrarily that Hellspawn is the second to arrive after Malaj.
I arrive last, if that's alright.
Perfectly fine. Arus.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I'm very excited because he's been out of commission for a little bit after recovering from a very very close call with some Fusu. So he's kind of excited to get back in the field. So he's got a little pep in his step, a little more than normal. He walks in. He's almost taken it. He steps into the room and is almost taken aback, like freezes for a second upon seeing the individual in front of him. He's not even close to used to. He's never seen someone quite like that person ever. The way they appear. And then brushes it off and then just keeps going in and goes, "Hi."
Oh, and no one knows such pleasures. Malaj will trot over with a little bit of bounce and hold out both hands towards theirs. Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Oh, such fine raiments that you wear upon yourself. You may call this one Malaj. And now, what are you named?
I'm gonna reach forward and give him a firm handshake. I go by Arus. How are you?
Arus. I do not know the etymology of that one. Interesting. I will make it.
Me neither.
I am excited. I am elated, in fact. The prospect of such wonders that we shall see, wonders we shall experience, the secrets lying within. Tantalizing.
Yeah. Have you been here before? Because I've never heard of this place before.
Oh, no. There are records, many records in the deep archives of places that are alive, that are wrought with vivacity that are beyond human comprehension. But never has Malaj tread. Perhaps Yove has, but never Malaj.
This moment, can I step out from behind the door?
Perfect.
Rather than listening to them? You say alive. Clarify, please.
Oh, you are green, verdant color. Yes, from what I understand, the entirety of the landscape is itself individual living beings, independent but coexisting, symbiotic. Very strange. Right.
That's the information I had. Hoping you had more. Fine.
I only know what you know, but I do not know your name, good friend.
Hellspawn.
Oh, and are you indeed from the darker realms?
It's a little on the nose.
Most of my kind don't get names. I was lucky in that regard. My mother gave me one the moment I crawled out of her womb.
A sensation I'm not familiar with. But a good name. It is powerful, intimidating.
Find it quite useful.
Yeah. The two of you look rather
Best
competent.
gift she ever gave me.
Well, I ponders if he's received other gifts, but will not ask this one.
Yeah, Arus, you had a thing?
You seem... I was Hellspawn, you seem... And I just kind of look between the two of them and go... my neck's gonna hurt after this mission.
Best sort that out now. We don't want any trouble in the field.
Yeah, I don't think
that cold compress.
I will keep that in mind.
Any other topics that the group wants to cover, or are you ready to move to the mission?
Actually, Malaj will sort of speak everything. I do not yet know, as I've never encountered these Gerderons myself, but perhaps talking to them first would be wise to see why they are retreating so quick.
Oh, surely.
Although if they try and run, I'll just get them in the knees.
Yes. A good crippling is always a good way to keep them from running.
Yeah, I mean,
On the same page.
they can't run if they can't run. That sounds really redundant now that I say that out loud. That's all in character.
You are quite astute, Master Arus. Quite astute indeed. Well, shall we be off then? I'm quite excited to see this place.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm ready.
And you are brought through Enclave HQ, the beautiful, yawning, labyrinthine, palatial, and yet cramped confines of the headquarter building, all garbed in gray, until you reach the teleportation chamber, a small, dimly lit room with rounded corners. Inside, there are 3 gleaming pads on the floor, and a disembodied voice says gently, "Agents, please take your positions atop the telepads." Arus knows what to do here.
I do so.
I step on, just loading bullets in preparation.
Malaj is wringing his hands excitedly.
My cloak is billowing.
And as you do so, you feel a tingling sensation begin in your extremities, creeping up your limbs, almost pleasant in an icy hot way, until it hits your eyes, at which point the world explodes into a rainbow of sparkling color, disorienting beyond belief, but almost dreamlike in how surreal it is. Until the sensation is gone, and you find yourselves with sand under your feet and salty, crisp air in your nostrils. Around you, there are the sounds of gulls, but also deeper, bellowing noises, almost like whale song, but it permeates the very air, coming and going just as the beating of the waves on the beach behind you. Ahead, you can see the soaring cliffs, and even within the cliffs, as you look at them, you can see heavy eyes closed as great creatures' heads form crags and juts. At the top of the cliffs, you can see a line of trees, and below the line of trees, you see another animal's head, clearly forming the prow of some ancient forest. Off to your left, there is the great mangrove swamp spilling down into the water not far away, and ahead of you, you can see on the beach a set of tents. Well decorated, not far from poor. They're not like scrabbling for wealth around here, it would seem, or at least not this group. Weapons are arranged in neat racks around the different tents, and the tents are all emblazoned with the same logo of a trident encircled by a great triangle in a striking shade of orange on a background of teal blue. In the middle of the ring of tents, you can see the old tree. Crippled and withered, almost looks dead, but instead of pine needles, though it does look like a pine tree, each individual needle strand is instead a long, thin hair that drifts all the way to the ground. Actions upon arrival. We will begin with Arus.
Look around and be like, whew, never gets old. And then start to like really like take in the environment. I just kind of look around. I'm just in awe. It's like this might be my favorite place. This is something.
As Arus looks, other things that his keen eyes would pick out, Hellspawn would see the same things if he was paying attention to them based on his comparable sensory stat. First of all, the clouds are animals above your head. Huge, soaring creatures that drift with the same consistency and size as normal nimbuses. Behind you, there are the ships, fine and beautifully made, the sort of thing you might expect to see in like the British Royal Navy as it appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean, but also augmented with literal visible magic gleaming in the sails as though it was woven into their very threads. The one place you don't see giant animals, well, the two places are: one, the beach seems to be somewhat devoid of them. Either that or it's just they're all hidden under the sand. And two, the ocean. I mean, there's probably something big out there, but there's nothing nearly as visible as the huge creatures that make up every other landform you see ahead of you. As Arus is taking it in, Hellspawn, actions.
Immediate thought is to point just the gun straight down, just in case the beach moves. But seeing Arus's perception around, I'm gonna crouch down, grab a little bit of sand, toss half backwards towards the ocean and half forwards, just to make sure that there's nothing around me.
Well, the first thing you notice is as you reach your fingers down into the sand, you feel like a little bit of a quiver underneath, like deep in the dirt. A little ways away from you, like you feel it in your feet too, and a little ways away from you, you can see the edge of like a great stingray-like fin kind of flip up, dislodging a little bit of sand before burying itself back down in.
The gun is not leaving the floor.
I'd imagine. Now, nothing comes out of the water, at least not from this action. Does Hellspawn have any immediate follow-ups after this quick deduction?
I would... Not at the moment.
Perfect. Malaj, actions from you. Your sensory is not nearly as good, so you can't pick up nearly as many of these specific details, but you still get the picture just as then.
It's still utterly baffling. And Malaj is just gonna just stare around for a second. See the camp, see the big tree in the middle.
It's actually quite small, but it's prominent.
Well, the tree in the middle. And it's just gonna start walking to it.
Absolutely. As Malaj does so, you know the sound of an orchestra warming up before a concert? Imagine that, but slowed down like 10 times, and you have an idea of the sounds of this realm. And then bass boosted to oblivion, so it's so loud that you hear it vibrating in your ears. Like creatures unseen, echoing out their sonorous calls for miles and miles and miles. Now,
That's so fucking cool.
As Malaj is approaching, any actions that they would like to take, they do see people. People were visible from the outset, but as you take a couple steps closer, it comes into a slightly clearer view. You can see that the Garderons do seem to be at least somewhat alert. Many of them are clustered around the tree, though none of them are actually, their arms are not born. They are standing at attention. Some of them you see are actually in the process of packing up supplies and things like that and taking them out of the tents.
I don't like that. Well, definitely. Initially, as I'm walking, I'm going to just be I'm going to be sort of humming in response to that resonance, sort of like pulling in as bassy as I can, just in response to all this sonorous climate that I've stepped into, just to feel that buzz.
Mm-hmm. As Malaj enjoys the surroundings, actions from Arus.
Eventually the awe will subside, even if it takes a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I see the tree, and I see Malaj walking towards the tree, and I'm also going to walk towards the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Can I sense that there's any kind of magic flowing out of the tree, or is it just a tree that looks pretty shitty?
You do not see anything obvious besides shitty tree. With the sails, the magic was woven into the very threads. It was obvious. An untrained eye could pick that out. But with the tree, you'd probably have to get a lot closer and do a lot more intense deduction to see whether you could find anything there. Anything you'd like to do as you are moving? Would you like to catch up to Malaj, or are you okay with Malaj being out ahead?
Sure, I'll catch up. Yeah, we'll catch up.
Absolutely. And Hellspawn, actions from you as these two make their way off towards the camp. Again, while the camp is within an arrow shot of the ships, it's not the sort of thing that they'll get to in a heartbeat before you can do anything about it.
I'll just rub my temple briefly as these two stride across a living beach, and nervously finger the grip of my revolver as I follow in exactly the footsteps that one or the other of them have taken, with some haste and some trepidation.
Absolutely. Hellspawn's trepidation is also added to by the fact that, unseen to Malaj and Arus, where they step, the ground kind of gently ripples a little bit, just like a little bulge, every single step, as though the creature underneath is responding to being trodden upon, not with anger, but at the very least with discomfort or alertness.
Sure. I'm gonna just pull the hood of my leather jacket up a little bit, just to make sure that if they don't like green people, that's something that we avoid.
Naturally. Excellent use of the Duster's magic there, by the way. Jumping back over... Oh, pardon?
Guys, the proverbial is all around us.
This is a lot of proverbial right here.
We're walking on the proverbial.
There's so much proverbial.
I'm not gonna lie.
Any other things that the group would like to say to each other as they cross the short span across the beach towards the camp, especially Malaj having been caught up to by Arus?
Yeah. So as he sort of catches up to me, he says, well, this is wondrous, is it not? Elegant even. Oh, that life could spring up in such a way.
I've never seen a place like this ever in my life. This is something else. For sure, absolutely.
These times that we are here, they are blessings. Now, let's make sure we don't get stabbed.
Yeah, that's probably a very good plan. I concur.
Maybe let me walk in front then.
Hellspawn is following in your footsteps.
Yep. I see this. Is this and I'm like, oh, neat. Maybe this is how green people walk. I don't know. I've never met one. I'll go, well, if you would like, I'm normally rather good with introductions, but if you so choose, I will not stop you.
Right, no, sorry, I just... If you're worried about getting stabbed, you know.
Oh, no, that was
seem
more
to
about...
be wearing very much protective.
I shield myself with knowledge and the ability to act subservient in the face of warmongers. And I will continue to walk at a decent pace.
Yep. I just quick sense check. Do they look military garbed at all?
Your companions or the ones ahead?
The Gerderons.
The Gerderons are all armed and armored, universally. Now that you're a little bit closer, you have a bit better of an idea of what they wield. Their weapons are oversized, like huge in many cases. Clearly meant for the sole task of bringing down creatures the size of mountain ranges. Their weapons are largely medieval in flavor, but are, much like their sails, obviously enchanted. Like, an untrained eye can pick out the swirling miasmas of spellwork that surround them. And the weapons themselves, many of them, incorporate the bits of huge beasts. Like, for example, one of the closer ones to you is carrying a halberd made of a crab claw that is bigger than your entire body. And yet the man, who seems like, in good shape, but reasonably mundane otherwise, is able to tote it around with no problem. Their armor is not that heavy, like shockingly light is the way I would phrase it. So they would probably be of just slightly superior defenses to Hellspawn himself with his leather coat. Any other things that he would like to try to determine?
All good.
Absolutely. Arus, anything that you would like to try to do or pick out as you're approaching? Because you guys are swiftly coming close to the camp, and a few of the Gerderons have turned to notice, though you do not see them being on high alert or bearing arms.
How far are they compared to the tree? Like, I assume the tree is probably much closer because that's what we've been walking towards, but are they, like, particularly far away?
They are ringing the tree. So you'd have to pass through them to get to the tree.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, how much closer are they to us than the tree?
Stone's throw.
Not the tree. Oh, okay. Does any of them? Is there like a single one that looks like he's like a leader?
Not that you have spotted
like he's
yet.
Significantly more important.
Quite possibly, but a lot of the camp is obscured from your current direction because of the distribution of the tents and the way that the land rises on the beach. So of the maybe dozen that you can see as of now, none jumps out to you immediately as a leader, though all of them are like wielding pretty impressive weapons. And a lot of them do have also enchanted armor and even things like clothing. Like you see a man with an eye patch that thrums with energy. Like they're just absolutely decked out in enchanted gear, which under normal circumstances might denote a leader, but here seems to be par for the course.
Interesting. Do any of the tents look like significantly larger or more important than any of the other ones?
Excellent question. Yes, you can see one. In fact, it's the tent that would be closest to you guys. It is big enough to have two flaps at the front. And more importantly, It is facing the ships rather than facing the tree. Either that or it has two entrances, one towards the ships and one pointing towards the tree.
Interesting. So I'm gonna kind of say the rest of them. One of there's very clearly either a convening location as that tent, or there is a leader here. And I think that if we want to talk to somebody, we should probably seek that leader out specifically.
Also go.
We need to find a way to stall them, do we not? And we
Yeah.
either need to... They are treasure hunters seeking glory of some sort. So either we need to spin a proper yarn that there is something that they have overlooked, and there is merit to waiting for a moment. Or we need to find something that will hold them here. Something that would possibly delay their packing.
Like a giant stingray.
Possibly a giant sting.
Potentially.
Though I'd rather not anger it. I also don't know what a bullet would do to it. It might just be irritated. It is rather large.
Like a scratch, yeah.
Fair point.
I mean, worst comes to
Gotta
worst, we
find
could
this
potentially.
boss.
Worst comes to worst, we might. It might be worth looking into, but we could try seeing if we can't anger one of these big creatures. I assume there's probably something either close to the sea or in the sea, and I don't know, maybe get it to like topple the ships. But that might be something somewhat difficult to achieve.
As Arus mentions this, you see that a pair of Gerderons exit the flap of the larger tent that's pointing towards you two. They also are similarly decked out, though you can see they don't have any huge weapons on their particular person, instead a variety of sidearms. One of them lifts his visor, which looks to be made of some gigantic, some tiny sliver of a gigantic animal piece, and says, "Travelers, interesting. Where is your ship?"
We wander from the grace of the natures abound. I sort of put my right foot forward and do a rather elegant bow.
The Gerderon looks amused and says, "The grace of nature, you say? Clearly you have not been here long. You will not find much grace." He gives a bow, a stiff one.
There is much grace where one seeks it, though it can be hard to unearth. Forgive me, I did not give proper introductions. This one is called Malaj. I am a preserver and a finder of lost knowledge, and my travels have led me here. These are two very capable associates of mine.
They kind of do a flourish and a bow. Say, "Hello."
And then Hellspawn nods. Is that what I heard? Yep. He nods and says, "You may refer to me as Genzai. I'm the speaker of this company."
Spell that. Sorry.
You can spell it phonetically, Genzai.
Thank you.
He says, "My term is coming to close fairly soon, but my speaker privileges will hold until we are underwater again. Speaking of which, I would recommend that you make your way back to whatever ship bore you here and depart. Post-haste."
What is that?
He says, "Don't you hear it?" He points up and around. Obviously, the cacophony of Hesh surrounds you. The strange, eerie, beautiful, thrumming, loud, whale-like calls. He says, "Hesh is angry. Very, very angry." He smiles ruefully and says, "A little too angry, unfortunately. We're going to have to depart now, pretty much. If you do not have ship, we can barter passage with us."
Why is Hesh angry?
He shakes his head and says, "Why is Hesh ever angry? Stayed too long, clearly. Maybe took too much. But not to worry. Come back a couple months, it'll have died down, and we can seek our fortunes again. Eh, lads?"
I'll point up at the tree. That might have died in a couple of months.
He says, "Yeah, probably." He puckers his mouth and says, "We did what we could with it, especially now that we know we have more reason to know what it is." But such things will have to be left to the boffins back home, I think.
And would you care to share some of this knowledge? I would be happy to do a last-minute investigation on myself for you and provide anything that I discover.
He says, "Unless you are storing a treasure chest in your hair, my friend, you do not have the means to afford such knowledge."
This is quite true. I do not have one of those in my hair at the moment. But would you allow us at least passage to investigate such a strange tree before we are all gruesomely murdered or escape?
His eyes narrow slightly and he says, "You cannot touch it. But you may come up to the edge of the perimeter we have set around it. I will allow it.
Why not?
He says, unfortunately, I cannot tell you why, for that would reveal more information than you have means to pay for. He says,
But after you leave, we can touch it.
oh, be my guest. Do whatever you would like after we leave. I would not recommend it, though. He says, I bid you then farewell, good masters. You have leave of our camp. We are to leave a good number of our supplies if you are hungry. We do not need to carry the food. Be our guests. And he turns and strides back into the tent. The man at his side stays outside, though. He is carrying, like, imagine a fireplace poker, but it looks like it's made of, like, a gigantic inner ear bone. And he just kind of leans against it and watches you, not doing anything, just watching.
Well, you're supposed to be clearing up.
He says, all have different duties, don't we? This is mine right now.
All right, I guess we should
sort of-
probably go look at that
yeah.
tree then.
I'm walking for that tree, and as we begin to move into the camp, I do want to be, well, I don't have the sensory of these two. I do want to be keeping an eye, and I want to get the attitude of people, because if they did find something, I'm sure they'll be closed-lipped while we're here. But like, I want to get the feeling of what they found.
What sort of
Especially because
cues
they'll
would you be
draw-
looking for?
Well, they obviously did touch it, which either led to this, or at least most likely touched it, which is probably what led to this stampede in the first place. So they have made a discovery that, with enough weight to it, that the ecosystem itself reacted. And given that this ecosystem is made of individual things, Malaj is initially assuming that each entity here reacts for its own self-defense, but obviously has sort of, coexisting, like, symbiote-style reliance on other things. So if a massive portion of this land is actively being offensive towards something, they found something big. So,
and how would you determine the tone, and like how would you pick out those sort of clues just by walking about? Like, what are you looking for in people's mannerisms and body language and behavior?
I'm looking, especially while people are packing up larger things, like people are moving like boxes in groups, looking at the demeanor in which they do. If they're doing it, specifically if they're doing it in a way of like somewhat excited of like it's going to be such a massive change to bring whatever this is back, or see if it's a bit more fearful, like they're holding something forbidden.
Absolutely. Two notes.
Looking for that sort of like postured mannerisms.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, the Gerderons, while they are seemingly all or mostly fluent in the common language of Metro, they also are speaking their own language with each other for the most part. You detect excitement in their voices, but you can also see that many of them, especially ones that aren't immediately set on a specific task, are looking over their shoulders, checking the horizon up on the top of the cliffs, clearly jumpy. Jumping over to Arus, actions from him after your initial meeting with Genzai.
So, I make my way to the tree still. I'm going to the tree. I want to investigate the shit out of that tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's basically it. I just want to go to the tree.
Yep. Arus quickly makes his way through the camp, and as he approaches, two things of note. First of all, surrounding the tree, there is a ring of, like, how would I describe this? For want of a better term, like disposable spears. The sort of things that like you would stick into something but not be upset if it broke because they're clearly pretty cheaply made. So disposable spears kind of ringed with rope, kind of like the velvet ropes at a movie theater. And they make kind of like about a 10-foot perimeter around the tree. The ground around the tree is littered with like broken threads of its long, weird hair-like pine needles. And at the base of the tree, at the very front, you can see a beautiful, ornate box about the size of a suitcase. It is nestled in the tree's roots, and it is clearly sealed and locked.
Interesting. So very clearly, there's no way to get to the tree unless I like go through the rope and the spears. It's not like there's like an entrance.
Yeah, exactly.
Through this. Interesting. Okay. Does it look like anybody's like looking around at the tree, like keeping an eye on it, or is everybody kind of disinterested for the most part?
It seems that most people are disinterested in the tree, but a few people nearby are clearly interested in you. In fact, one of the Gerderons who is kind of in the process of packing up some cookware near the tree looks over his shoulder and says, "Doesn't look like much, does it?"
No, not really. But still, it's
Those
got
words.
some
Those words.
some draw to it.
He nods and he says, "You clearly know what you're doing in Hesh. That's the thing with here. The things that draw your eye, not the stuff you need to worry about."
Of course.
He says, if a cliff is falling on you, sorry, too late, you know? You gotta...
Exactly.
Here, you gotta seek out opportunity, you know?
Yeah, of course,
He says,
course.
"Cheers,
I have no
man."
fucking clue what he's talking about.
Cheers, man. Cheers, man.
Cheers, cheers.
He says jovially and then finishes packing up the copper pots.
Turn to Malaj. I what? Huh?
Hellspawn, actions from you.
I love these people.
So confused as to why they're so jovial. Stuff's coming for them. They need to be careful. So I would love to be just while the others are drawing attention and while I'm kind of somewhat faceless. Well, if I need to re-up that, that's fine.
Oh no, you don't need to re-up it. It's up
Okay,
until
sweet.
you take it off.
Sweet. While that's happening, can I see if I can use my knowledge of knots, ropes, and things of that description to influence the guidelines that are holding these tents up somewhat? Not necessarily knocking them over immediately, but as I'm making my way through camp, just surreptitiously make a few things a little looser than they should be.
Easily done.
Okay, great. Without being obviously spotted.
Literally like a toe tap here or there will do the trick.
Sure. I'm kind of hoping to loosen everything, make it so that a good gust of wind and this place is falling down.
Yeah.
Can I then go towards the tree, but not the tree itself? Can I having seen what's under the beach in some locations, can I be looking for what might be under what these spears might be like jammed into?
Excellent question. How would you go about investigating that short of digging?
We're kind of on the borderline between beach and grass, right?
Exactly.
Okay. I would love to just kind of use one of my stakes and kind of just wiggle around because it's got quite the point to it, and just see if I can feel any resistance at any point, just in the first like foot of ground.
Totally. Can you reset your camera real quick because you're frozen for us?
Ah, for pity's sake.
Yeah.
No, just you. It's fine for me.
Fine for
Oh,
me.
really? Oh, pardon me. Not to worry if it's
Done now.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Perish.
Absolutely. So, to clarify, you would not be able to loosen every tent in the camp. There's it's a decent sized perimeter,
Sure.
but you could do like a couple, especially the bigger one that you were right in front of.
On the way, yeah.
Yeah, snaking your way up. Now, as you take the stake and kind of set it into the ground, how are you just kind of wiggling around, or are you going to drive it in?
I think wiggle for a moment and then just stamp on it with my heel.
Absolutely. You wait a little moment, finding a little bit of resistance with the sand as it mingles with the dirt. But then as you stamp with your heel, there is a marked change. Incredibly marked. The air goes still in the area immediately surrounding you. For a moment, the noise of the animals subsides. And I should note, neither Malaj nor Arus feel this. And for just the slightest, most fleeting moment, Hellspawn sees something materialize in front of him. A face of wisps and dead tree bark, a face that somehow resembles both an animal and a man and something besides, that glares balefully at him as it opens its multi-jawed mouth and then vanishes.
Right. I'm going to stand up to attention. My hand is, like, I was fiddling around with this thing, but while this vision is happening, my hand is on the gun.
Hellspawn has seen some shit in his day, I have no doubt, but his hand is trembling, just no matter what else would be going on.
I'm going to glance left, right. Nobody seems to have reacted to that situation.
No one else seems to have noticed it at all.
I would like to just scoop my boot to cover up the stakes
Yep.
on the ground with the dirt and sand.
It's covered in sand. As he does so,
Head over
Hellspawn...
to the other two.
Yep, Hellspawn notices that despite the fact that the surroundings seem to have gone back to normal, there is one difference. Every time he looks at the tree, he feels an icy sensation shoot down his spine.
I'll head to the others.
Easily, he can make himself over to Malaj and Arus, who are close enough that you can easily group them.
The tree's pissed.
Yes,
What?
This would make sense, given that it is, well, something is summoning a great number of dangerous things here.
I think I stabbed it. Tree's pissed.
What?
Such things get
I've just repeated.
I think I stabbed it.
You weren't even near. How did you do that? You just got to the tree.
Roots. Oh, you found a root.
Yeah.
Where? Show me.
Right. It's outside the perimeter.
Good. Oh, this
I'll
is
head
wonderful.
over.
This is
and just
wonderful. Oh, you have done
uncover the
good
stake
things,
in the
Hellspawn.
ground.
Yeah.
God, I don't think so.
Hellspawn ushers Malaj over. Does Arus want to go with them, or does Arus have other things to do?
Sure, I'll go. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Hellspawn brings Malaj over to the location of his boot scuff. You see that there are a couple of somewhat curious Garderons watching, but since you're outside of the perimeter, they don't seem to be caring too much.
Sure, I will uncover the back of the stake and just start walking away because I'm not being around this tree much longer.
Yeah.
All right, Ruby. I kneel down in front of this stake.
Yeah.
As much as I want red meat, this ain't it, Chief.
Arus,
and
you would note that as Malaj is kneeling down, there are one or two Garderons who are kind of ambling their way slowly over just to see what all the interest is about on the ground.
I'm gonna not really whisper, but quietly say to him hey, they're noticing. They're on their way. You may want to make this quick.
In that case, I will reach into my book bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to pull out, a generic naturalist book.
Yep, absolutely.
Nothing specific. Very much just, this sort of, cross-referencing, normal theory versus Hesh theory kind of, book to use. And I just sort of put it down in front of me, and I kneel, sort of reading it idly. Sort of putting it over where the stake is. And as I do that, I'm going to start using catalog.
Oh, excellent. Describe to me your catalog.
Well, so the concept, the catalog is sort of magically tidying and sort of organizing your surroundings to learn more about it and
Yes.
sort of enhance one's ability to sort of tune in with it. So as I begin to sort of start this catalog, I put the book down, and for just a moment, my eyes sort of glaze over, and both my hands sort of move asynchronously from each other. One hand is going to scoop a small portion of the sand up, hold it, and sort of drain it out in one hand, in a very slight pile in one side. The other hand is going to put 4 fingers in, not deep, but in the sand, and dig back to feel difference of how the dirt here moves in the presence of the root of this tree.
Absolutely. Are you going to be holding your cast of catalog, or is this going to be when you do it? And if so, I'll need a little bit of detail on what you're having your catalog tidy.
At the moment, I'm holding it.
Yeah, so this is prep.
I'm mostly trying to look like I'm doing pseudo mystic thing to just get the Garderons off my back for a sec.
Absolutely. Arus, in this case, as Malaj is starting to prep this, one of the two Gyarderons who are approaching says to Arus, "You thought of something?"
Yeah, I had like a small like pocket knife that was like folded up that I dropped in the sand, but he's much better at looking for stuff than me, so he's searching for it. That's all.
The other one looks over at the book and he says, "Why you got that?"
I'll sort of shake out for a sec, hearing that. Well, these things are alive, are they not? Natural biology has to have some correlation to this magical influence. Finding the root between them could be very interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, very interesting. Uh-huh.
He also likes biology.
I can see that. He says,
I have a ficus in my home.
the Gyarderons are perturbed enough by this to start moving away. Before we go further with Malaj and Arus, Hellspawn, having moved a little bit away from the tree, where are you going to be doing? Where are you going to be going? What are you going to be doing?
I'd love to loosen more guide ropes, just a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And on my route, just figuring out why some of these guys aren't moving with urgency, because this is really bugging me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some things that you notice. Now that you've been able to amble about the camp a little bit, and now that you don't have the tree in your peripheries and can keep your head clear, some things that you notice. First of all, everyone here does have a job. They are being tasked to do something. Some of the people who seem to be standing around, like the guy who initially was accompanying the speaker, he is now positioned at an angle near the tent that gives him eyes on all three of you. So clearly some people have just been tasked to keep eyes on you guys. At a guess, looking around the camp, you see like 4, maybe 5 Gyarderons who seem to have been assigned this just by how they're positioning themselves and what they're doing. But could be plus or minus. The others, though, even as they're doing things like packing up cookware and carrying like heavy moving packages over towards the boat areas and things like that, they aren't doing it at speed, and that, as you mentioned, is annoying, or at the very least perturbing. The best guess that you can make just from looking around right now is that they are not nearly as scared of Hesh as the Enclave seems to think they should be. But given that all of these guys clearly have like a lot of experience in this realm, they clearly have a reason for believing that.
So I wouldn't be getting a sense of, well, maybe exploitable complacency from this? Or do they just know more?
It could be both. It could be that they are overconfident for bad reason, or that they are overconfident for good reason. But they do seem to be, at the same time though, I mentioned earlier that there is a jumpiness about some of them. And excitement too. They're clearly happy, morale is clearly high, and while they are nervous, they clearly don't think it's a terrific problem.
Okay. Cool, I'm just wondering then.
Of course, a complex environment. Malaj and Arus, actions from here, beginning with Malaj.
Alright, so now that people have sort of kind of looked away, I mean, there's obviously going to be a couple, but so that they aren't looking for the specifics, I want to sort of stop what I was doing. I want to move the book, place 2 hands sort of like this with a little bit of space over the stake, and using the tidy, or using the catalog to just sort of at least focus it for now and just push the sand and earth away from whatever the stake is embedded in.
Absolutely.
As is initially just sort of and focus in right there. And I'd like to sort of, as I do that, sort of rub my thumb on the ring on my finger, which is my scanner. I skinned it as a ring, and have it glow this sort of pale blue light down towards what I'm unearthing. Absolutely,
that's beautiful. I love that. So in that case, Arus would see that the section of ground that the stake has been embedded into, naturally like separates, forming like a perfect ring around the stake as it is suspended in place, pierced into the very tip of a root of the tree. The root is old and withered, And as Malaj scans the like a little magical light off the ring, I presume that's how it would work for you, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The magical light of the scanner ring reveals something much more interesting going on in the now naked area surrounding the old withered root. It looks almost like legs. Tiny little legs emitting from the ground, or maybe from the root itself, almost like the legs of a millipede that gently kind of move and twitch, almost like coral in the ocean. They are, however, absolutely not physical.
That's neat. Oh, it's kind
And I can
of
see
like,
this too, right?
Yes, Arus can see this too. The scanner's light illuminates for all. Though, since this is in a little
Okay.
hole and no Garderons are close, no one else would be able to see it.
So it's kind
Okay.
of like the
What the
little Scylla on the top, on the side of like microbes and things.
Yeah, somewhere between that and a
But in a
millipede's legs.
magical way. Interesting. Do I taking a look at that and focusing in on that sort of like turning the ring to a like, again, the ring has sort of like recesses, each with slightly different like 6 of them, each with slightly different shapes. I turn it like a couple notches over to a much sort of tighter recess and direct a more orangish light just onto these sort of legs. And as I do, sort of carefully outlining around the area that I'm looking at in the sand with my fingers.
As you focus the light in on the onto the little moving, twitching pieces, you can see that one or two of them, like, because you wouldn't be able to capture all of them in this more narrowed gleam, one or two of them become slightly longer and slightly more sinuous. They look more like tendrils or tentacles now, and they are rising up from the root, lazily and gently. They're wispy, now that you see them better. Pale shades of grayish green. Then they look almost like they're made of dust or very fine filigree, like they would fracture away to nothing if you touched them.
Question. Seeing them rise, is this towards me?
No.
This is just sort of it's like a jellyfish like ambient.
Jellyfish is a perfect example here.
As I'm doing this, I want to look at the stake that was embedded.
Yeah.
How deep did it get?
Barely a centimeter.
I would like to pull up the stake. I would like to see if there's even a hint of sap or something on it.
As you pull up the
And
stake,
sort of, as I'm doing it, even pulling with just a little bit of force, maybe to coax some.
as you pull up the stake, two things. First of all, not a sign of sap. But second of all, a face appears to Malaj, caught in enough of the light from the ring that Arus sees it too. A face with a multi-jawed mouth. Angry, fierce, somewhere between human and animal, ringed with what looks like hair, or maybe it's the long needles of the tree. It opens its strange mouth before wisping away again to nothingness.
I commit that to as perfect memory as I can.
Now I should note,
And
unlike
I
Hellspawn, when Malaj looks at it, there is no fear. And for Arus, it's disconcerting, but there's no sense of that same terror that struck Hellspawn. Not that either of them would know exactly that was what happened.
When this face appears, I would like to cast Viewpoint on the face, if possible.
Okay, it's going to be appearing quite briefly. How are you going to get off the viewpoint on this?
How briefly are we talking?
We're talking 3 seconds.
I don't know then. I have no idea. I'm gonna try to focus real hard on this face. Frankly, the point is I wanna try to see if I can cast Viewpoint on this face, not necessarily on, just to see how best I'm able to interact with this thing.
Absolutely. In that case, here's what you feel. As you start to activate the viewpoint, you don't have enough time to focus on it for the viewpoint to really stick, because the viewpoint wants you to have like a pretty good idea of the thing you're going for, at least to some degree. However, the viewpoint does start to take. this is a valid target for it. It just does not complete. So it's like an incomplete cast of the ability.
Am I able to grab like a glimpse of anything, or would I not be able to?
You'd get the faintest, if you close your eyes immediately, you'd get like the faintest glimpse of like color and noise and the beautiful music of the land through, like, even though Viewpoint is entirely visual, even visually, the music surrounding all of Hesh just fills your vision almost like a scene from Fantasia, but only for the tiniest, blurriest moment.
Okay, sure.
Now, this would leave Arus briefly reeling from the sudden quick viewpoint what the heck went on, but Malaj is much more sound of mind in this particular instance.
Very focused right now. So part of catalog allows me to sort of like ask questions about anything within the range.
Yep.
I have made my range relatively small.
Yep.
Specifically because I want and so I'm gonna mix a little bit, and I want to latch on in my brain. I want to sort of push that image into the front of my mind, as again my eyes sort of glaze over for a moment, and I want to focus in on the feeling that image was giving off, and I want to try through catalog to see if this has a name.
Lovely. The wind whispers in your ears, and the music of Hesh surrounds you, but through the music, something starts to form.
Perfect. I think with that, I'm not gonna cut the catalog there, because I do want to sort of looking at the composition of the route itself.
I'm gonna check back in with Hellspawn before we go further here.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, Hellspawn, you've had a moment to wander, and you've loosened quite a few tents. You do notice that the tents, while many things are being taken out of them, they themselves are not being taken down.
Sure. Yeah. Can I just have an eye towards these two?
Absolutely. You would see that Arus does reel briefly, but besides that, Malaj is still focused down low.
Are the Gurderons, because this has been a little time, are they getting a little antsy and starting to get interested again? Or
excellent question. Now, you do see that of the, at a guess, like 5-ish that have seemingly been tasked to keep an eye on you, only one of them is actually focusing on you specifically, and that's the first one that you met way back with the speaker. The other 4-ish do seem to, at the very least, have noticed Arus like reeling backwards for a moment, and are starting to approach the base of the tree where they too are.
Okay. At the moment where I imagine they're getting too close, can I step around the corner away from my mark and try a trick shot to bounce off some of the loosened pegs and attempt to collapse a fair few tents in
Ooh, that's so cool. Let me think about that. All right. So trick shot normally wants 1 bounce. So you'd be able to take down 2 for sure.
Sure.
Which tents and where in proximity to your companions? Are you trying to get as far away from them as possible? Are you trying to aim for like the biggest tent, or like give me an idea of what sort of collapsation you want?
Is the biggest tent closest to them?
It's not closest, but it is reasonably close.
So can I take down the big tent and hopefully one next to it with a couple of people inside it?
Yes, that would be very easy, because if you're just bouncing to one right next to it, that's a very reasonable angle to go for.
Sweet. So I'll just breathe in, focus. The bullets are already loaded, as they always are.
Yep.
And take one of those stakes just out of the ground immediately and try to bounce off to another.
Yep. There's a sharp pinging noise, and the big tent collapses down. You hear some yells inside, and you can see like the distant Halloween ghost costume forms of guys inside flailing around trying to get it off them. The one next to it also goes down, and you can immediately hear a yelp of concern and a small peal of smoke because they had a cooking fire going on in there.
Awesome.
Perfect.
The
God.
four who are starting to approach, and the one who is looking at you, all like whip their heads around. You hear yells of concern as a bunch of them start to hurry in. For the first time since you got here, they are on alert. Many of them are looking towards the cliffs and the beach. They are like with their biggest weapons to bear, like ready to go as they form a defensive perimeter around the two collapsed tents, and a couple more like dive in to try to pull people out. Immediate follow-ups from Hellspawn after doing so.
Using my duster, can I just kind of move in towards the defensive line and try and ascertain what sort of things they're saying, what immediately they're talking about?
Absolutely. So
If I'm like an ally sort of thing.
yeah, and your outfit is closer to theirs than Arus or Malaj. So even if they like take a good look at you, they'd be able to be like, okay, it's one of those weirdos who came in. They definitely would not be necessarily as predisposed towards that as with Arus or Malaj. More to the point, their eyes aren't on you guys anymore. They're scanning for monsters. And so because of that, as you get closer, you hear they're speaking kind of a combination of their native language and Metro, and you can pick out many snippets from it, though they tend to focus on native language. The concern is high. What took us down? They're diving in. Safe. Are we clear in there? Another one. Injuries? And another one. Since when do they try to cause fire?
Interesting.
However, you hear from inside the voice of the speaker yelling, "No, Carl, we're fine, you idiots! Keep your eyes peeled." Actions from Hellspawn as a follow-up. If you have any.
I'm just going to glance back at my allies, see if I can catch an eye and just give them the nod that they've got free reign if they need it.
Perfect.
For a few moments.
Let's see what they do to capitalize on it, beginning with Arus. Obviously, you hear the pinging noise, and then the tents go down, and then there's immediate action in the camp as they bolt over to try to address the situation.
Yeah, so I reel back from that like viewpoint attempt, just like holy shit, and then immediately as I jump out, just ping, and I look over, and that whole thing happens over there.
Yep.
And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And
this would be the
and then
point where
I catch
Hellspawn can catch your eye. Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, I catch Hellspawn's eye, and I'm just like, okay. And I'm gonna lead down to Malaj and go, hey, we've got a little bit. They're distracted. We should figure something out. Do something. I have an idea, but it might just scare them more into leaving than hold them here.
What is your idea? Perhaps we can modify it.
I see the thing that I can do is I can make things appear, and I'm thinking I could almost make it seem as if the ground wants them, or the ground doesn't want them to stand on it.
But you can, right? You're a deceiver. You can create illusions. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Perhaps what we saw. Perhaps they have seen it already.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Peeking out from the shadows. No matter how well drilled a soul is. Fear.
Do you mean the face or the legs
face
or
that
tentacles
face.
things or whatever?
The maw, the unhinged maw of many maws. Cascading teeth, that's what I would call it. Cascading teeth.
Yeah.
That's
certainly an idea.
More about our friend. I got a name. I have a name for this poor creature.
It only showed up for a couple seconds. Do you think you could more accurately either tell me or convey to me magically more precisely what that face looked like?
It is possible. Here, let me try something. I'm gonna put my hands put my hands together, rub them twice. I'm gonna put my left one into my book bag.
Yep.
And I'd like to use knowledge's power.
Yep.
And I would like this is gonna be a funky one. I want to announce the book's topic aloud. Instead of topic, can I go for a title and let that be the theme of the topic?
Well, give me what the title would be and what extra flourishes you might add.
This I wanted to call it like the Saga of Ahi. This thing is storied. This thing has lived long and has done much, and it will have its own way of writing and conveying it. It has if these things are as alive as they are, they probably and they're probably able to communicate their own history and presence to each other. This thing has a lot of that. So what I want to go for is something that is specifically the history of this tree.
Now, normally, that would be far too specific for Knowledge is Power. How will you justify this added specificity? Do you need a moment to think?
I think I'm alright. I think I have it actually.
Yeah.
In that moment, I'm going to reach down to where the
stake?
The stake hit it, and I'm going to gently pat it. Sort of in a comforting manner. This direct physical contact with this thing. They told me not to touch it. No! Do what I want. For science.
I was thinking about just straight up touching the tree earlier too.
Yeah.
For science.
And in that case, as you pull, you come up not with a book, but with a scroll. And much like one of those beautiful Chinese watercolors, it is a scroll depicting a single, long, continuous image that as you unfurl the scroll reveals more pieces to it. And the scroll, as you unfurl it, shows the growth of this tree. From a seedling, to a sprout, to an adolescent, to an adult, to an elder, to dead. But in every image underneath the tree, growing up out of it, is the image of a jellyfish. An eerie, strange jellyfish whose tentacles loop back up to buttress the tree, almost like the bulb of a tulip. A strange jellyfish with a multi-hinged jaw, full of strange baleen. You can see in the images it's sifting the sand of particles with its baleen to feed the tree that it grows. And you can see that it has lived, at least, obviously as long as the tree, and the tree has lived a while, if it's living to death.
This might be the oldest spirit entity here.
And Arus, you actually have a very good image of what this creature looks like now, including the tree growing out of it. And Malaj did say the Saga of Ahi, specifying a name. What would you like to do?
Okay. So, with all this information given to me, I'm gonna ponder for a moment to figure out the best way. Arus ponders for a second to kind of figure out the best way to exactly go about creating this image.
Yeah.
And then he will start swinging his arms around in almost like a generic caster kind of way, just like and eventually after doing so he sort of brings it up and pushes it up and outwards to try to create the basically just the picture of this dead tree that I was given with the face and the whole thing, and I want it to look like not necessarily exactly like the tree that we see, but more like the vision of the face that we saw a little bit earlier.
Absolutely.
So whatever this wispy version of it looks like.
A perfect clarification. I was going to ask you exactly that very question. And where do you want this phantasm to appear?
I want it to appear between them, or the Gatorons. How did you say it?
That works. Garderon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Garderon. Between the Garderons and their ships in the water.
As Arus is casting, any follow-ups from Hellspawn Hellspawn can see Malaj produce the scroll. The two of them briefly scroll through, and then Arus beginning to cast. During this time, the Gerderons have rescued everyone from the big tent, including the speaker, who is barking orders to them, and they're continuing to scan the horizons, but also they're mostly now trying to get the burning tent off of the companions inside of there, who are seeming to be escaping intact with very minor issues beyond that. Any other actions that Hellspawn would like to take as he observes all this? If you
Do
need
I
a,
see
yep.
illusion? Well, is that made yet or not?
Arus is in the process of casting it.
Yeah, I'm doing it now.
I don't think I got anything right now.
That's perfectly fine.
But could I just toss a couple of the silver bullets onto the fire just to see if they heat up, and I can use them in a moment?
Absolutely. Actually, that's so cool. Yeah, you can kind of lob them overhead. And since they're so small and shiny in the bright sun of the day and the heat of the fire, they're not going to be noticed.
Sweet. So just in case I need something very, very hot very, very soon.
Yeah, totally. And Malaj, actions.
Yeah, quick thing, just because I forgot this part of Knowledge is Power. This is that it also is magical effect gained by the target is pitched by the user and must be clearly related to the chosen topic.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have to do a weaker power than normal because this is a very weird Knowledge is Power.
Yep, and that's all right, but I want some of the thing that I'd be reaching for, even if minimally, is some sort of connection with the latent essence of Ahi.
Okay, how would that manifest more pragmatically? Since Knowledge is Power,
mild telepathy.
Oh, I see. Okay, we're gonna call that very mild telepathy. But yes, I'm okay with this.
It's no words could be shared, but feeling maybe.
Yeah.
I gotta be right back for a second. I'll still be able to hear you guys.
Yeah, perfectly fine. In that case, Arus is, this is kind of a perfect opportunity. I need to use the bathroom for a moment. So let's take a 2-minute break.
That is exactly why I'm.
And then come back and finish up. Sound okay?
Everybody
Yeah.
go
I'll be
to the
right back.
restroom. Alright. I hope y'all out in chat are enjoying this mess we've gotten ourselves into. I know I am. I have no idea what we're doing yet, though. Oh. Yeah, this is funky. This is funky. It's not every day you talk to the dying essence of a ghost tree. A ghost jellyfish tree at that.
Yeah, so the plan that I had to make it seem like the sand didn't want them to stand on it was I was gonna try to make it looked like there was ripples in the sand that were moving around and large and coming
that's
towards
cool.
them. Yeah.
My worry is how.
But I like
keep
yours
them
better
there.
for now, but that's always definitely still in the back.
Hey, always works. Hey, that you can veneer that easy. That's not phantasm. That's like veneering the ground.
Maybe, yeah.
Perfect timing. Let's jump back to Arus finishing his cast. He's brought his hands all around. And any final flourishes you want to add, or are you going to make that phantasm happen?
Let's just make that phantasm happen. I don't have a lot of time.
And as the phantasm appears, in all its strange alien glory, the Gerderons look gasp and cheer. Yes! She's come back to us! You hear them cheering in their own language and celebrating with each other and clapping each other's shoulders. They start to loosen their arms as their speaker calls out, "Hold yourselves, men! Hold yourselves! Quick, she is... Do you see what she is doing? Giving us passage to the ships. Move! Quickly, men, move! We have much more to get!"
Malaj. I'll look at Malaj and go, "Oh, fuck."
And you can see that the soldiers nod, and many of them set down their heavier arms and quickly go about redoubling their efforts to pack at speed. The speaker, as he goes about, barking commands in like a much more like energetic manner. As he does so, he briefly passes by Hellspawn, kind of double check, catches his eye, gives like a smile and a shrug, and he says, "Hesh is full of surprises, is she not?"
Sorry. Hesh is that face?
No. Hesh is here, this world, this land. A strange place. A place that wishes to kill you at every opportunity, except... He looks over towards the terrifying, creepy image. Even looking at it makes Hellspawn a little on edge, but it doesn't send the same shiver down him that it did earlier. Sometimes, though, she does not want to kill you.
That thing's good, huh?
Yeah, to us. Maybe not to you, but to us. We, I cannot tell you more, you have not paid. Forgive me.
Look, man. I'm about to die here. I feel it in my bones.
He says,
Something is very, very wrong.
"I will not let you die." He says, "It's a long trip home, and we have much wealth there. Do not fear her. She is under our control. And because of her, the angry, angry land, at least for now, is at bay."
Why are you hurrying?
He says, "Well, look where she is. She is between us and the ships. Clearly she is saying that we need to move. We have been too complacent."
Right. Okay.
He says, he gives you a clap on the shoulder with his heavy hand and says, "Do not fear, my friend. Hesh is strange. Hesh is terrifying. Hesh will rip you apart. But when you can find her wealth, you will live a happy and long life." He hurries back into the crowd.
That
Hellspawn,
backfired so hard.
quick follow-up from Hellspawn. What would he like to do?
Oh, this is good. Don't worry. This is
Darting
good.
towards the tent, I want to get these two heated silver bullets, perhaps in a sling of fire. Just ripping the canvas if I can.
Yep, easily done.
And look back at the other two, and then look behind them to the tree while just whirling this in my hand.
Now, of note, as you are starting to
Oh
get
my
this
God.
set up, you are not going to be able to catch their eyes this easily over this
Okay.
much pandemonium.
Yeah.
But everything else up to that point, A-okay.
Sure.
Yet another thing?
No, I'm just trying to figure out if I have anything to get their attention other than shooting.
I'll give you a moment to consider because I want to give them follow-up actions to the whole Ahi appearance. Arus and Malaj, you see the celebration take place and the sudden redoubling of activity among the Gerderons.
Arus just goes, "Fuck." Shit,
You guys,
that
this is good. No,
is it?
my friend. It is.
What is good about
They
how?
trust this, which means that they will not. They will follow it. This gives us ample time to assess what is in that box at the base of the tree.
What if I make it move? What if I What if I use it to lead them away? Like it's like further into like the cliffs or the like the other side, not the water.
quick question, just because I do not have the sensory of either of these two. How much of that did I hear? Any of the words of the captain?
You heard a few snippets. You would have heard, for example, him saying that they got to pick up the pace and that she is protecting our passage to the ships. So you heard the loudest parts of what he said.
Neat. So in that case, I will say, like, I will say, I will, look to Arus and say, if you can buy but a bit of time. I look up towards the actual base of the tree. Need to commune unattended.
I'll try.
We shall see. Thank you, good friend Arus. And I'm going to not run, but actually before I'm going to bend down and I'm going to think I come to release, just sort of like in my mind, and I'm going to kiss the point where the stake poked the tree. I'm going to take the stake with me.
As you take the stake, I'm going to ask you how you get around their barricade in a moment. Not that it's particularly complicated, but the manner in which you do it will be relevant. Arus, immediate follow-up actions after this conversation with Malaj. Your phantasm still drifts over the beach between them and the ships.
I'm gonna shift towards the phantasm again, and I'm gonna concentrate on this image, and I want to try to make it turn, like slowly, but not too slowly that you can tell. But it definitely is turning, but allowing them time to allowing them time to realize that it's turning.
Absolutely.
And I want it to turn towards the cliff.
And as it turns, you see many of the men turn to look at it. A few of them even just pause what they're doing despite the panic of the situation, just to admire.
Yeah.
And the speaker calls out to your phantasm, Ahi! Ahi, we require safe passage. Where do you turn?
And as it turns, once it finishes turning towards the cliffs, it'll pause for a second, and then I want to try to make it not walk, kind of float towards the cliffs.
Absolutely. And as you do so, he says, Ahi, no. Please do not. There is great danger there, Almighty One. Please heed. But as he is trying to say this, Arus notices something. He sees rippling tendrils coming out of the ground towards his phantasm.
Yes. This is what I was hoping for.
Let's go.
Whoa.
And as one grabs and another grabs, the phantasm is, even though phantasms are intangible, completely untouchable, it is held as though physical and yanked into the ground as the real Ahi pulls itself out and consumes the phantasm with its multi-hinged jaw.
I just stand, my jaw just drops. I've never seen this, especially this kind of magic interaction with the phantasm. That's not how that works.
It disappears back into the sand, not even leaving a single disturbance on the grains, as though it were entirely a ghost. The Gerderons are speechless and just stare. One nearby says, almost to himself, Ahi killed Ahi. Actions from Arus in response to this.
I am. Arus is stunned. He's just kind of staring, and then he looks back at the Gerderons, and he looks back. And he looks back at the. He's just like, what what just happened?
And
What?
While Arus is processing, Hellspawn, follow-ups. You have your sling made, and you see the phantasm being destroyed by the spirit. And as his eyes see Ahi, the real one, emerge from the ground, fear courses through his body. Enough so that it breaks his slinging spin. Not it's not going to be destroyed or anything, but you would pause involuntarily.
Yeah. He's staring backwards, looks towards the tree, looks towards this emergence. I think the sling is just going to fall silent, and the two red hot silver bullets are just going to drop out as it burns itself away as he drops it. Right. he's going to pick them up, the two very, very hot silver bullets.
Yep.
And begin like flicking them in a sort of juggling motion in his hand, so as he tries not to burn.
Like a one-handed hot potato?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And I think the only option he has now... You said stone's throw, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'd love to see if I can sling these stones into the sling these silver bullets into the ships.
All right. Where
Like, trying
are
to
you?
embed them into the front of the hull that is on the beach.
Okay. This is a mighty, mighty throw. And are you going to try to get one bullet into each? Because if so, that's a long throw and an accurate one over a substantial distance. But it would also need enough power to embed.
You know what?
Yeah.
Can I instead see if I can use, just for the moment, take this calmness as one silver bullet flies up out of my hand and the other is being caught.
Mm-hmm.
Close my eyes, reach for the gun that isn't there in the air, and have them enter into the gun so I can blast them through that.
Oh, lovely. There we go. That's very, very nice. I love that. Absolutely. Your revolver manifests in your hands, and the two juggling bullets appear in its chambers, ready to go at positions 1 and 2. And now that you have a lot more range at your side, hulls aren't very flammable. Where do you want to shoot?
You said the sails looked pretty tough. Do you think if I went through the sail and tried to get into the mast, I could embed them through that sail even if they did pierce it?
That's an excellent question. But now that you are paying attention to the sails more, the sails are not down yet because they'd be catching wind. And as such, they are all bunched up at the top of the masts.
Then critical mass. It's practical. He is a practical man. He's just aiming for the critical mass of those sails.
One for each.
Hopefully.
2 shots ring through the air. Some of the nearby Garderons jump, and one of them says, "Oi! What is that?" And another one says, "Firearm! Don't you recognize it?" He says, "Not like any I have ever seen." Oh, what was that?
Okay. Can I just dismiss shootout immediately?
Yep.
Send it back to my holster.
Easily
Is that
done.
possible?
Very
Sweet.
possible. I love it. And he says, "Where did it?" There's a pause as the half dozen nearest you just kind of stare and then start looking around a little bit. But before they go further, let's check back in with Malaj and then Arus. Malaj, you have a cordon to get through.
So, describe the overall cordon to me. What's the shape of it?
So it is like theater's velvet ropes with each pole being like a disposable spear stuck into the ground. They are connected together with cord or rope of some kind, 2 layers of rope. You could hypothetically crawl beneath without disturbing them, but it's pretty flimsy. With your body weight, you could probably snap one of these spears.
I don't trust that. As I approach it, I would like to use my scanner.
Yep.
And I'd like to sort of again rotate it to a separate one. This would be sort of like a yellow stone inlay, and I want to go over. I want to see if this is magical. I want to see if the moment I touch this, it's just gonna start going wee woo. Because I don't know. I don't know what they got. They might have alarm shit.
Yep. Well, it's a good instinct because as you scan the cords and the posts, you can see that there is a magical residue across them, sticky like honey and as bright red and shiny as a ladybug's shell.
I don't want to touch. So I don't want to touch them.
Mm-hmm.
But does it look? Does the way that magic looks? Does it in the scanner? Is that the sort of thing that if I go under it, it's gonna drip on me?
You don't see it dripping from your scan right now, and you would only be able to get under if you literally completely flattened yourself to the ground and like army crawled or polar bear slided.
In that case, what I'm actually gonna do is pull out that book of various natural things, and put it under first to see if like stuff drips.
And with the light of the scanner on it, you can see that there is no drippage from the magic, at least not that you can see.
All right. Like a sand bubbler crab. I am going to. Actually, I would like to, given that what's the cooldown on catalog?
Catalog, I think, is mid, so I think it would be right before you get it back.
This is okay. That's actually pretty good. Yeah, I will, like a sand bubbler crab, I will pull in my scholarly raiment, get as low as I can, and just shimmy my way. using my vigor to do this quickly.
Yeah, you do have the plus to
without
vigor, actually.
I have the plus to vigor. The entire.
Malaj is scooting.
I be scooting. And thing is, I didn't see what happened behind me.
No, you did not.
I was not. No, I'm very happy I didn't.
Now you do
Very confused.
You do manage to scoot under the cordons, slipping under almost like a limbo bar in reverse, naturally. But as you pull your way back up, this would be about when the 2 revolver shots go off, and you hear more movement and action and noise from the group. But now you are within 2 strides of the tree, and the ground is thick with its dropped hair-like needles.
I have an idea. I'm going to try. I'm gonna swap the. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna try and use the scanner one more time on these needles, especially since I interface with the root that came off of this. I'm gonna switch back to that sort of like very focused setting on like one of the needles. What is to see how it to see how the sort of tendriliness compares?
Nothing.
Nada.
Nothing.
Cool.
At least on the dropped needles.
Oh, that's a fair point. I'm going to point up towards the undropped needles.
Yep. And that does have a little bit of that same tendril action, but it's much weaker, much wimpier than the root.
This makes sense.
It's almost like a little layer of thin hair.
They said I'm not supposed to touch the tree. How close am I to the big chest that they had?
It's right in front of you.
I'm going to examine the chest. What is this? What is the lock like? Or is it locked?
It is locked, and the lock is a standard heavy kind of skeleton key style lock. The chest itself is very beautiful and ornate, almost comparable in its design to something like the Ark of the Covenant or something like that. Not quite that ornate, but like very, very nice, with a velveted top and little like furniture feet, so that it rests on all 4s rather than just being flush with the ground. It almost looks like a very, very ornate footstool that you could open and put stuff in.
I wish I had a lockpick. I don't. I don't. I'll keep that in mind, but I'm going to approach the trunk of the tree.
Absolutely. The chest is nestled in amongst it, so that's easily done. Before we go further, Arus, actions from you. You have obviously been struck dumb by that attack, but then you hear the crack of the revolver.
Yeah, I hear the crack of the revolver, which like turns me, and then all of a sudden I see, it like snaps me out of the. Remind me what happened with the with the boats. How did the bullets find the sails?
You do not know. They're traveling too fast. All you know is that there were 2 shots of a revolver, and then when some of the people nearby looked towards Hellspawn, he had nothing in his hands.
Gotcha. Okay. So that the sound kind of scared me out of the craziness that just happened in front of me.
Indeed.
And I like am realizing I gotta think fast because these people are trying to move like ASAP. So I'm gonna I assume I'm like not super far away from the camp, right?
No, you are in.
Like, I didn't travel very far.
Yeah, you're still within the ring of the tents, but you're like a little
Yeah.
towards the edge of that ring.
Okay. So I'm actually gonna take one of my smoke bombs and I'm gonna try to make my way as much as possible to the larger tent, but kind of keep a distance a little bit.
Yep, the larger tent is
and I'm
collapsed at this point, but it is still kind of the center point around which most of the Garderons are clustered, though they were starting to disperse to get back to work before the crack of the revolver sounded.
Yeah. And I'm gonna take one of my smoke bombs, which let me just double check wording quick.
I love the smoke bombs so much.
Yeah, and I can like kind of control how that smoke disperses,
Yeah,
right?
you have more control than you would over
Yeah.
a mundane one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna I want to Oh, okay. So I'm gonna take one and I'm gonna just toss it on the ground. I'm gonna activate it like almost immediately, and it might this part might take like a veneer cast or something. But I want the smoke to disperse, not quite as smoke, but I want it to create little like I want the smoke to kind of flow out and create like hundreds of like the little word of like little text, all that just say the word stay.
Ooh, shit.
Oh.
I'm calling that's definitely going to take a veneer, but your
Sure.
smoke will take your magic pretty easily. So how are you going to like paint the veneer onto the smoke in such quantity? Like my immediate thought is to let it run through your fingers, but you might have a better idea than that. And also, are you trying to set off the smoke bomb without it being known that it is you? Because it's a smoke bomb.
Yeah, I wanna like kind of like I want to keep my distance as much as I can from that tent, but kind of like toss it and roll it on the ground, and then as it activates, I'm gonna put my hand on the ground and just have that essence travel through me to the ground, through the
I
ground
see what
to
you
the
mean.
smoke bomb, and then go through up and out.
And it is admittedly a very simple veneer, just repeated a lot of times. Now, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Geez, that's such an interesting one. And the other thing that I like about this tie-in is that you're kind of using the grains of sand to get to the grains of smoke. You know what I mean? In that case, give me a little more of how you're tying in your contact to the sand to make the thing appear within the smoke. Give me like just a little bit more that connects those two pieces.
Elaborate.
Yeah, like right now, the thing that I'm stuck on is normally veneer, you have to paint the magic, right? But you're doing it at a distance.
I see. So
Do you need a moment to think? Because I can jump to Hellspawn.
yeah, for sure.
Easily done.
Yeah.
Hellspawn, actions from you. You have dismissed your revolver. You have... you can also see that the two shots that you embedded, there are lines of smoke rising from both of them, thin enough that it would take supernaturally, or maybe not quite supernaturally, but very good eyes to pick them out. What would you like to do?
I would love to begin walking slightly out of camp.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would. He would turn and just shout, just to anyone in general. Why did the jellyfish kill the tree?
And as he yells this out, there's still quite a lot of pandemonium, but you can see that one Garderon kind of looks over towards him and gives kind of like a you simpleton sort of look and says, "Don't you understand? It is the tree. Or it was. I don't fully understand it, but it didn't kill itself, obviously."
How do you know?
He pauses and says,
They did just see it eat itself.
And then he says, and then he starts to kind of walk over to you, kind of more conversationally, saying, "That was one of the strangest things I've ever seen in Hesh. But why were there two of them? I don't know." This is, you recognize this guy, by the way, as the man with the fireplace poker looking thing from the very beginning who was tasked to watch you.
I'm just trying to understand, man. I feel like this place is trying to kill me.
He says, oh yeah, oh, he's definitely trying to kill you. He's trying to kill us all. He says, it hates us. More than anything, it hates us. Even Ahi hates us.
But you love that tree that got eaten, right?
No, it's useful, protects us. Because,
Fucking doesn't!
He says, well, yeah, because if it didn't, then the cliffs, they'd be on top of us at this point. The sand would be engulfing us. We'd be dead. We'd be dead if she wasn't protecting us.
You hear that?
He listens. The thrum of Hesh is in your ears. Yeah, of course, they're angry. I know they're angry.
You think you're not dead?
And for the first time since you got here, you see fear on Agerderon's face.
That's all I wanted.
Yes. That's what I want.
Listen, we're almost out of here. We need to get the last of our supplies, and then we need to get the box. And once we have the box, it's going to be a difficult way out, but we will get out of here. You mark my words, man, and you stay with us. You help us get out of here too. Maybe pull a little bit of your own weight. We'll give you a little wage when you get back to home. All right? Whatever your home is.
I'm heading to sort your ships out.
He says, right, good. He looks and then he blanches. What? Smoke is rising more visibly now.
Okay. I look back.
This is awesome.
Oh, we're all gonna live, right?
He says, shut up, man! We gotta go get that sorted! Quick, fire! Fire! He's sprinting across the beach as fast as he possibly can.
Is he moving where I saw this creature earlier?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm tempted, but I don't want to screw everyone up.
Talk through it.
I would love if this thing became agitated enough to cause an extra problem. But not
What would be the downside?
really destroy us. It would become an extra problem.
Oh yeah. If not now, then when? That would be my question.
Is anyone watching him?
He just yelled fire, fire, and is sprinting away from you. So he has eyes on him.
Sorry for the swearing.
We swear all the time, man. That's how
We're
it goes.
allowed.
You heard me talk at all?
This is not PG-13 content here.
Oh, it is,
Okay.
but it's not much higher than that.
Sure.
That's fair. That's fair.
Do you need a moment to think?
I think I'm determined on what I'd like to do, but let's cut back to the others.
Sure. Arus, what do you have for me?
I got it. So I'm gonna I want to write the word stay
In the sand, you said?
in the sand.
There we go. That's exactly the sort of connection I was looking for. And as you do so, your veneer goes through your letters, through the grains of the sand, up into the grains of the smoke. And as the smoke starts to billow out, it is transparent, but for the letters. Stay. That billow out and around. The Gerderons are now torn in many different directions. The yell of fire, the shots of the revolver, now the smoke billowing out with letters in the air. You hear many gasp and another say, we're doomed.
Is Phantasm still on cooldown?
It is still on cooldown, but it's not terribly far off at this point.
Okay.
Follow-up actions from Arus.
Do I see the smoke that you mentioned when you were talking about Hellspawn? I assume that was for the ships, right?
Yes.
These screaming fire.
Maybe they're covering each other. Who knows?
Yeah. Not yet. I don't have a follow-up action just yet, but I would like to make note that I see that, and I'm like thinking, and then I'm looking towards. I'm just kind of taking in the chaos. Like very clearly, there's a bunch of shit going down.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to. I'm observing and trying to to determine the best way for me to inject more chaos into this without causing them all to just abandon all of their things and all of their supplies and just run anyway.
3 things of note. First of all, that last thing you said is very relevant because even though they're so taken aback by all that's going on, the call of fire towards the ship is definitely among the most high priority. Pardon the squealing, my son is very annoyed right now about who knows what. But yeah, the calls of fire is definitely demanding the most attention, especially because that is their ticket out. And so even though the smoke is captivating a number of them, many more are also turning and starting to run after that lead guy across the sand towards the ship. The speaker, for once, is not issuing commands. He is also enraptured by the words in the smoke.
Okay.
Hi, baby.
I'm going to run towards and just kind of sit in the middle of the chaos while keeping an eye on the ships.
Absolutely. Here, can we a very brief cameo? Come here, you. You want to come say hello?
The boy, the wee man.
Yay.
There he is.
Hi.
Hi, Sterling.
Hi. All right, you. I gotta finish up. Won't be too much longer.
Come on, let's get
He's
food.
a good one.
Go get some food, bud. Okay? Sterling, go get a little food, buddy. Thank you for saying hi.
Sterling wave.
Go on, Pudding. Off you go. Ah, chush.
Bye, buddy.
There you go. Thank you. Don't worry, don't you fuss. I'll be down shortly. I'm sorry, Pudding. I know it's disappointing. Thank you for your patience.
Sudden baby.
Yeah, I know. Okay, pardon me. So can you repeat what you said about something with the chaos? What do you want to do?
I just want to kind of sit in the middle of it. I want to keep a very I want to be able to very clearly see the boats, but I want to be in the middle of it. I want to stand in the most inconvenient place to be standing in while all of this is happening.
Absolutely. So in that case, you want to walk into the crowd of Garderons as they're trying to orient themselves.
Yeah, while still keeping a very, very clear visual.
Yeah. In their panic and haste, they would be crashing into you in many instances unless you explicitly don't want them to.
I will do my best to dodge them.
Yeah,
but...
you do have good reflex, and because of that, you can definitely swerve and weave out of the way. But it's still going to be absolute frickin' bedlam.
Yeah.
Now, as Arus is positioning himself, to give you an idea, now that you have the whole crew of them accounted for, there's probably about 24 of these guys. Of those, you have just under half completely enraptured in the smoke.
Okay.
Of the remainder, another just under half are trying to bolt for the ships to deal with the fire, and the remainder are dealing miscellaneous activities. With Arus positioning himself thusly, let's check over with Malaj before we check back to Hellspawn. Oh yeah, real quick.
I want to throw one more thing in. Keep me updated on when that fantastic is back, please.
Absolutely. Next time I cut to you, it will likely be exactly done.
Okay.
All right. So I have a weird idea.
Oh yes.
It's twofold. First part is I'm going to reach into my book bag, and I'm going to pull out the history of Gerderon expeditions into Hesh.
I'm okay with this.
Second.
One entry. This one.
Second. I would like to try using catalog again.
Okay, that will be up.
As I sit myself sort of in front of this chest.
Yep.
I close my eyes and I focus on the area that has been cordoned off and like that whole thing. And as far as Malaj is concerned, this entire thing has been tampered with by outside interference. And to truly understand the marvel that he can see on this scroll, as he's going to pull it out in front of him, all of that needs to go.
Yeah.
And all of the bits that is Ahi need to return to Ahi. This is a litmus test to see, one, if catalog can unlock a chest to return the thing inside the chest. I don't know. But that's what I'm gonna try. As I sort of unwrap the scroll, stare at it, and say, "As all things were, they shall be again," and close the scroll.
Okay, I see what you're going for, and I want more. You're asking Catalog to do a very specific thing here. It is not completely out of the realms of possibility and reasonability, but give me a little more to how you are going to be kicking off this catalog to direct it to do this.
Okay.
Do you need a moment to think?
No. I'm going to go to pick up the chest.
Okay, absolutely. This is doable, and as you pick it up, it's reasonably heavy, but enough so you need two hands, but it's not so heavy that it has bricks inside or anything, you know what I mean?
I want to offer it up towards Ahi. As a, I want to literally put all of my effort into getting it above my head and, putting, one knee down and,
Ooh,
because from everything that I've observed of what this is, from what the Enclave explained, and I'm the reason I got the book is for a secondary thing that'll happen after this.
Mm-hmm.
But from everything the Enclave said is that every time these people have come here, they have taken things, and that has been confirmed by their weapons and their armor and their gear. They have taken the powers of this place and warped it for themselves, and then use it to pillage further. So if they are, and if this is their prize, this literal chest in the middle of a camp, surrounded by a cordoned fence, this has to be something that belongs to Ahi. No mistake. And I want it to go back.
Beautiful.
And I want the sweat and the pain of trying to lift this over my tall body. I want to get my arms locked if I can. Levels of.
And as you do so, you see something come out of the keyhole. Wiggling threads and tendrils in a beautiful shade of pale silver, identical in appearance to the Ahi that you saw in the book, silver tinged with green.
A seed!
And you can see, as the little things appear out of the lock, you hear clicking inside of the keyhole.
I almost mathematically, as I'm listening, just sort of say out loud, 1 tumbler, 2 tumbler, 3 tumbler.
Perfect. But before we go further, Arus and Hellspawn, this is something relevant to both of you. Arus has Phantasm up, but actually before we do that, a brief check-in with Hellspawn initially. Actually, no, we're caught up in time, and this is actually an important pivot moment. The speaker turns his head slightly and unleashes a bellow loud enough to be heard across all of the pandemonium as he yells, "She's escaping!"
What did you say?
She's escaping.
Okay, thank you.
Help! I'm about to get shot.
And both Arus and Hellspawn would see that the Gerderons that were being enraptured by the letters stay snap the fuck to attention. And moreover, on top of that, the speaker from across his back pulls a harpoon-launching crossbow weapon and starts to bring it to bear.
Help.
Immediate actions will start with Hellspawn because you were already starting to prep something, then Arus.
I'm not going to change the thing I was prepping.
Yep.
I can't activate Shootout again so soon.
Yep.
So... Standoff pushes incoming attacks away, and I'm very much on the opposite side of all these people, which means that I would love to just do my original plan.
Yep.
Which is jam the gun in, muzzle first into the sand in the hopes that I can get next to where this creature's sensory organs are, that I know is there, and just blast through the sand in that case.
The gunshot is a lot more muffled than a lot of the ones you've done previously, shooting directly into sand, but the reaction is immediate and violent. You ever billow out a rug with someone after cleaning it?
Yes.
Imagine,
Oh my god.
Imagine that the size of a soccer pitch, and the ground starts to ripple violently in protest, and a massive stingray tail that hooks like a scorpion stinger whips out of the ground a little ways away, like the scooping end of an excavator machine, and does like another great flailing out across the ground. And so because of this, everyone, including Hellspawn's footing, is completely disrupted. Arus's as well, but his reflex is excellent. And because of that, even though this is a very surprising action, he can catch himself and at least hold his posture steady amidst the violent undulations of the ground beneath his feet.
Okay.
Remember, it was chaos before. This is pandemonium. This is madness as Gyarados are screaming and running and trying to desperately get both to the ships and to the tree. Follow up from Hellspawn briefly before we check in with Arus.
And am I on this ground section?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sweet.
You're near the edge, but you are definitely on it.
I would love to just drop to the ground and try, if I might, I would love to slam a stake just in
Yep.
and hold on.
Now, it was angry before,
I know.
Oh god.
but it is livid now. The undulation, starting from where Hellspawn is positioned, but rippling out through the rest, gets suddenly wilder as it... Imagine how to describe this. Imagine the beach becomes a wave curling in on itself as the great creature contracts its entire body into like... into like a puff pastry shape, like pulling in like this.
You ever just become an apple turnover?
Is that because I'm green? Is that because it's green? Come on now.
Yes, it is.
And-
You figured it out.
And as
God,
I mentioned, Hellspawn is on the edge of this perimeter. That means he is climbing highest as the creature brings its great rippling body up. What would you like to do? You are currently staked into it, and initially you're hanging on like this. You quickly are hanging off of a wall and then into a sloping ceiling. What would you like to do? You're about 30 feet over the ground.
Ideally, I will hold on.
That's a decent idea.
And if I need both hands, if he needs both hands, that's absolutely fine. If he can have a hand free,
He can have a
now
hand
he's
free.
got high ground.
I'm okay with him having a hand free.
Then the revolver is in the other hand, seeing if there's anything he can add to what is about to happen over there. And that's me.
All right, I will be asking for details on that quite possibly in a second. Arus, actions from you. This is initially, you hear she's escaping, and you can see the speaker trying to bring his harpoon launcher to bear. But then the moment after, the ground starts to ripple violently. You, again, are disrupted, but are able to recompose your footing because of your high reflex. Phantasm is up. This is just before the thing starts to curl in on itself like I was describing. What do you want to do?
So I wanna look at the boats, and I wanna and this might take a little bit of extra effort for the Phantasm, but I want to cast it in such a way that to make it look like a Leviathan has come out of the water to just destroy all of the
Oh
boats.
my god. All right, so that's going to be a hell of a... That's like the biggest Phantasm Arus
Yes.
has ever done by far.
Easily.
Walk me through this.
He's gonna have to, obviously he's gonna have to center himself first. This is a lot of magic power. And then he wants to he's gonna take like his arm, and he's gonna try to like basically make the actions of this Leviathan through his arm.
Oh,
So
that's
he's gonna go
sick.
like this,
I love that.
and then do one of these.
Yeah.
And the Leviathan's gonna come out and like with mouth open, and then just crunch down on the ships, and then just go directly back into.
And
And the ships are in disarray. They're just fucking. They're like in two pieces, each one at least.
first question. How is it going to feel to muster this amount of energy? This will be so far beyond anything Arus has expent himself magically up until now, unless I'm missing something. It's completely unparalleled. So what is it going to feel like to do this? Yeah.
Exhausting. He's pulling from anywhere that he find. He's if there's magic in the air, he wants it. If there's magic anywhere else, he'll pull magic from the essence of like maybe his cape that has like just latent magic built into it. Of course, he's gonna pull some of that. The hat, the fans, anything that he can find, he wants to pull that together and pull it into his core and force that Leviathan.
Magic from the air, you say? Well, the music of Hesh is loud in your ears. And as you reach and dig to whatever wells of magic you can find around you, you hear that music overwhelm your senses, exploding into vividness. It's like an orchestra. It's like an entire world of song has opened up around you. You can hear nothing besides the music, the whispering, the roaring of Hesh around you. And as you bring your hand up and the Leviathan explodes out of the water, it kind of looks sea serpent-ish from what you were describing. That's kind of how I'm picturing it in my head.
Yeah.
Your vision explodes into a phantasm of light itself. You are completely overwhelmed by the magical energy roaring through your body. Your ears are full of Hesh. Your eyes are full of light. Your hands and fingers and like limbs are all tingling. You can't feel your own face. You have no idea what's going on. All you know is the music of Hesh and the phantasm you are casting with all of your might.
Mm-hmm.
And
that is very bad for a couple reasons.
Yeah. And Hellspawn, jumping back to you, as the creatures, like, it's a skate, so it's not wings, but it's like wings. Its winged body, its finned body, is curling up around, and you're hanging from the wall. You can see an enormous serpent leap from the water towards the ship's mouth agape, smash down into them. And as it does so, the spew of ocean around fills the scene, and the sand disrupted by the gigantic skate is thick in the air, and the screams of the men down below are loud. But even above all of this, there is a rumble. A rumble so deep and throaty that it feels like the earth itself is moving. What do you want to do? I can give you a moment to think if you want. Malaj has a thing.
I've made my bed. Please, let's continue.
Malaj. There's a clicking, and as you say the fourth tumbler, it pops open, and you can see that tendrils spill out from the top.
The moment it pops open, I go into a full prostration, holding it down in front of me, knees bent, head down. But I
oh my god, are you serious?
Yep.
A harpoon quivers in the tree above your head as you do so.
No.
Only the penitent man will pass.
No way.
Only the penitent man will pass.
I didn't even need to do a luck pitch for that one. So cool.
Nope. That was my initial plan. The moment it opened, and I was like, I just, oh boy.
Oh, sick. And as you do so, inside,
Timing.
a small, gleaming, silvery green jellyfish pulls its way out with a little sprout popping out of its head. Its teeny little jaw gives a little quiver.
Malaj, their eyes begin to sort of like flush with with tears a little bit at the sight of this. This is the best phoenix he's ever seen.
It reaches out one thin tendril towards his face.
I will not stop it. If it kills me, it kills me.
It touches the bridge of your nose and the ridge of your forehead, and then kind of like chances to go up the nostril for a moment before retreating.
There'll be a moment of like, I pull out the book, and I want to hold my glasses. I open the book, and I would like to speed read until my eyes bleed.
And what information are you trying to get out of the book?
This is the history of the Gerdarons. Of the Gerdaron expeditions. I just want enough to back up a fun fact, which is the.
Oh, don't tell me the fun fact yet. Don't tell me the fun fact yet.
No. But like, what's the fun fact? The fun fact is coming. But what I want out of this is everything that the Gerdarons would consider a victory, which to Hesh would be atrocity, theft, and mutilation.
Yep.
And I just want example after example after example.
Easily done. But as you do so, you feel yourself lifted from the ground as you are brought face to face with the speaker. His face is bloodied, and he has a vicious crowbill in his hand. As he turns you to face him, he's shockingly calm, though he is heaving with exertion. And as he turns you to face him, he says,
Very, very clever, stranger. Very clever. Not clever enough, I hope.
Fun fact. My companions deserve the protection more than you do. Close the book.
and as you do so, he gives a sneer.
It does not matter who deserves the protection, we are dead. We are all dead. But maybe at least I can have one life taken on my own terms.
As he puts the crowbill to your belly.
I'm just gonna look up. If I die here, I die. Because I physically don't have the ability
As you
to
look
restrain
up,
him.
the cliffs are coming towards you. Their huge eyes are open. Their beaked heads are wide. And their mouths are open in fury as their stony bodies tumble down in an ordered avalanche towards the beach. You feel unspeakable pain, muted through the exhilaration of success as the crowbill locks into your stomach. But before he can unseen you, he
I was
drops.
gonna say, as I be... Oh, perfect.
And you can see the sand below him open as tendrils take him and pull him underneath.
I will still be shrieking in response as a big crowbill has just begun to unsee me, and I will and just make that known so that like my compatriots know that I'm possible.
Yep. Hellspawn. The scream of your companion is actually enough to draw your attention. Malaj has a very distinctive way of speaking, and that scream sounds very different from anyone else here. You can see over by the tree the small gleaming jellyfish ahi seed on the ground. The cliffs coming down in anger now that the protection of ahi seems to have been lifted. Malaj contorted in pain, and the last images of the speaker as he is consumed underground by the vengeful ghost of the dead Ahi that had been protecting him previously.
Okay. Hellspawn is... He's been focusing quite a bit this whole time. Like,
Oh yeah.
eye strain, like, he's been on high alert this entire time.
In that case, he would
There
also
is-
know Arus is tripping balls down below as he pulls off this cast.
And his eyes like have this strained feel to them that he can't really take in much more. He's gonna have to try something. Too many. It's always the way that his allies die on him.
Yeah.
So,
This poor
because
man.
he's tough as hell. He's been through some stuff. He is going to leap, I think, down towards the sand,
Yep.
as close to Malaj as he can, and with the last, like, visual acuity he has, close those eyes. It takes a moment of trust, a moment of everything, but his hope is that in that moment, he can at least slow the falling of these cliffs with standoff. As he takes in a breath, as they fall towards the whole beach. Is that even feasible? Just for the second that keeps us protected, that we can hopefully roll to safety and maybe get back home.
Standoff activates. Perfect cast.
Eyes closed. Nothing left. Hope.
Crashing of rock. The crashing and cavalcade of rock and distant screams of men and the warbling, warping wind of the sand being kicked up by the great skate. All around you is nothing but crashing pandemonium of earth. For Malaj, all he knows is pain as he is crumpled on the ground, clutching his stomach. For Arus, all he knows is the music of Hesh and the screaming chaos that blends in his eyes as he hallucinates wildly from the symptoms of low essence. But then the noise is subsiding. In Arus's ears, the music of Hesh is quieting. It's still there, present, loud, but gentler. Malaj is still in horrible pain, but Hellspawn, his eyes are still closed. Though around him he doesn't feel the ground rumbling nearly as much as it was just a few seconds ago.
I think they need to remain closed. He is so very tired.
And Hellspawn feels a ping at his chest as his Enclave badge gently pulses. Malaj feels the same in his contorted position on the ground. Arus feels nothing because he's hallucinating. What does Hellspawn want to do?
I can't see. I don't know which of my allies, if any, have survived. I think Hellspawn is hoping he's done enough and is going to attempt to get out.
He touches his badge and he feels the teleportation come across him. Malaj, you are in more pain than I think Malaj has ever known.
Malaj is not in pain very often.
No. You are bleeding profusely from your stomach.
Yep. I will. Both hands. Pressure. In fact, I'm taking my sort of cloak and just like.
Yep.
And as I do, I'm going to look up at the to see what because I was falling last time anything was happening.
Where there was a
I
beach.
want to look up at the tree.
Where there was a beach, there is now nothing but a rock slide around you, as though the cliffs extended down in long fjord-like tendrils to the sea. So there's jetties where there was empty beach previously. The beach is gently draped between these jetties as the great skate has settled. And there is the small, gleaming green seed of Ahi, looking curiously towards you. Its face is kind of frightfully human, now that you're looking more at it, in a very uncanny, multi-jawed sort of way. And it pulls itself across the sand towards you, looking interested.
I look at it, and I look to the beach. Do I see any of my allies?
The rocks are too high.
I look to Ahi. Have they both left? Have my friends gone away?
It pulls away and kind of considers you from multiple angles for a second. It doesn't respond verbally, but you can see that it does start to pull its body over towards one of the rock slides to climb it.
All right. In that case, I look to the big tree. Is the big tree still intact?
Completely intact.
Perfect.
And it looks very small and sad in comparison to these majestic rock slides that have now formed around it.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up as best I can.
You cannot stand.
Can't stand? Okay.
Definitely not. You can try. I mean, obviously you would try and collapse immediately in pain as more blood seeps from your stomach.
I just need to be able to stand enough to angle myself so that I can get a palm on the tree.
In that case, you will be crawling. Like pulling yourself over.
And plaster a blood-soaked palm on the side of the tree. And as I do, I'm going to shout up to this tree, the remnants of it, and say, I've bled for you! Don't let them die! And I'm just gonna push all my desire for my companions. Malaj doesn't have friends. He doesn't meet people that stick around. These people have been nice. He doesn't know if the green one is doing cool brooding things, but he wants to see more of the green one brood.
Mm-hmm.
And Arus was interesting and magical, and he wants to categorize every single thing about them. And it would be really sucky if they died. And I want to... I don't know... In Malaj's mind, whatever was binding Ahi was weakening it. And he wants... This is going for a rally to push Ahi to just be able to move a little bit faster.
After doing this, his strength would fail him and he would slump against the ground. No doubt about that.
Yeah. Yep. Just probably cough up some blood as well.
For sure. You actually are now laying next to the dashed remains of the box that the seed was in.
Quite poetic. And I'm going to ping my badge, because there's nothing more I can do.
Arus comes to his senses with his face half sunken in sand about 2 hours later. He is shivering all over. He feels weak and nauseous. And as he looks around him, he can see that he is surrounded by a perfect ring of rocks amidst the rock slide, with shards pointing towards his face that had been stopped just before they compacted him into a bloody pulp.
I kind of grab at my cape and pull it or not the cloak and just kind of pull it around.
As you pull it, you notice that the arm that you used for that cast is shriveled and dead. You can't even move the fingers.
You just got dehydrated.
Still very weak and all kinds of fucked.
Oh yeah, but your Enclave badge is diligently pinging away, as it has been since the mission ended 2 hours ago.
I'm gonna try as hard as I can to restore it, obviously with the working.
Yeah, your face flops back into the sand as you touch it, and the last thing you see is the small, gleaming seed of Ahi resting on one of the rocks nearby, looking down with interest at you, like a crow contemplating a nut that it's left on the highway to be smashed by a car. And on that note, we will end the mission.
Woo!
Nicely done, gentlemen.
That was so fresh.
Very nicely done.
Fun fact.
First of all, questions. Do you guys have questions about the setting, about calls I made, about things in the plot that were curious but didn't quite get resolved? Open it up.
I think I understand about as much as my character did.
Perfect.
And I will keep it that way.
That's perfectly understandable.
I don't have any questions, to be honest with you.
Honestly, that's perfect. If you guys don't have questions, that means I did my job well.
I'm sorry, Arus, by the way. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
wanted
You
to
had no
call out,
fucking
but
clue.
I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
freaking
You had
out
no
on
idea
that.
where I was.
My number one priority, Hellspawn's number one priority. You gotta live.
No, I don't blame you. I think that was perfect. That was great.
That was
correct.
the tightest fun fact in the history of fun facts.
Yeah.
That was so sick.
So good.
I was prepping the fun fact.
Yeah, I could
I was
feel
like,
it.
I'm gonna force all of the. How dare you?
Yeah.
At this guy. But my question was, what was what was the thing that was coming at them? Was it those cliffs?
It was, so typically speaking, if a Hesh creature is pillaged from, it'll do the job of trying to kick away the person themselves, right? This was a big enough deal that a lot of nearby Hesh creatures were all coming in at once, and the most frightening of those were the cliffs. The most frightening and close proximity of those were the cliffs. So that was the biggest deal.
I'm glad I called that right then.
Oh yeah. And also of note, Arus is okay. So I'm going to go through some of the calls I made, because not only did you guys all do unbelievably well, like you all had such huge contributions to the success of the mission. I don't even know where I can frickin' start, but just to start with one that comes to my mind, Arus, your idea to make the Leviathan come out of the sea was tremendous. I didn't get to go into depth about this in advance. The ocean was safe. There were no monsters in the ocean. And so by showing a monster in the ocean, that was the last straw. That was like, okay, we're completely fucked. We've unleashed something from Hesh that we've never seen before.
Oh, shit.
And so that was one of the reasons why they were like so cocky, because they were right next to the ocean. There's no monsters in the ocean.
Yeah, I did actually wonder
monsters
about
are
that
the
a little bit.
land.
I was just like, oh, they must have found a safe passage somehow.
Yeah.
I figured, something's living in there. There has to be. It just makes sense.
I did not
Wow.
want to give that one away because I knew
Yes.
that.
Lee has experienced that plot point on a former Hesh mission.
So
Thank you for not spoiling that one. I trusted you to do so, and you did brilliantly.
I the moment you were like, there were boats, I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
not my
So-
place to say.
Oh.
If my character relevantly figures it out.
Along those lines, I mean, Lee, you're obviously one of the best Enclave players that I've ever played with consistently over the years. But
love this
even
game
then,
so much.
even
Like
then,
for 5 years.
yeah, your uses of catalog were effortlessly powerful. Like those were such good catalogs, and the best part is you didn't even have to energy work them that much in order to do the thing, which was perfect. Really, really tight. Oh, along those lines, Aidan, you're getting energy work now. I'm seeing you getting
Oh
energy
my god, you're
work.
so good.
You're getting
so
it.
good.
That's perfect.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need to see.
This is like your 4th time doing this, and
This
you're
is like your 4th
legitimately
time.
better than I was like 10 missions in.
Yeah.
Like no joke. Like dead on. It's so impressive how you're like the way you're working with the abilities.
And Tom,
I
my
appreciate that,
man, brilliant first showing for Enclave. Awesome,
Tom MVP.
awesome. That was fantastic. First of all, your positioning was tight. Positioning is so hard to get right. But you put yourself on peripheries to the group that made you so much more effective at meddling with what was going on and affecting change in a way that kept the heat off them and was more conducive to your abilities. Because if you're just like sitting out there with them, it would be so much harder for you to do things like your shootout maneuver without being immediately noticed. And so I thought that your positioning was incredibly good. Your quick banish of shootout was also incredibly good. And was the sort of thing that like a lot of people don't think to do because they're like, oh, it's an expensive ability. I paid a lot for it. Sometimes you just need the immediate thing and then done. And I loved
Need a
that.
second.
And also, you had great setup payoff. You loosen the tents and then you trick shot the tents. That like you were working on that plan from early and it had a great payoff. And on top of that, from the second that you noticed the creature in the sand, I felt like you were starting to put together a plan on what to do with it. And so I felt like your setup payoff and your game sense was wonderfully good. Like very, very good.
Miles ahead of like anything I've seen just ever.
Yeah.
In general.
So
I saw him.
Appreciate that.
I saw him find out about the on and I was like, oh, it's gonna get shot at some point before we're done.
And it
Like,
was.
it's
That
gonna.
was the first thing that happened was, oh, that's a big thing, and he was immediately like, I'm gonna point my gun down, and I'm like, that's gonna become that's that's a special tool that's gonna help us later.
That is
Very close,
exactly Chekhov's gun. That's
Yep.
Chekhov right there on my screen.
Yeah. And then
Chekhov's manta ray. Yeah.
and along those same lines, great character acting from Hellspawn. I love the character. He is so grounded and engaging. And is brooding in a way that never felt like it was rebuffing interaction, which is a hard line to walk. Yeah. And on top of that, your freaking stakes and silver bullets came in clutch. That was sick. I was so happy that they worked.
Oh, so good.
You gotta use it, right?
Yeah.
And you used it so well. The work you did of like dropping it in the fire was beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. And then making use of your high resilience to hold hot thing. Yeah. That was also
That's
smart.
what I was thinking, yeah.
So smart.
I should have probably said
Chad
using my
brain over
resilience
here.
sort of thing, but yeah.
Oh, you don't need to specify it. I knew what you were going for, man. It was brilliantly done. And along similar lines, in terms of positioning and making use of your items and equipment, seeing Arus get even more utility out of his smoke bombs is always fun. But on top of this, you're even like, I'm trying to draw magic from everywhere around me. I want to try to tap into like the cloak and stuff like that. Incorporating items into energy work is so big. It's a huge step. And it's one of the things that like even more unlocks energy work. Because imagine if like you were doing a less big whack ass cast that drained more than a full threshold of essence, right? Imagine that for a second. And you just kind of gently tapped into the billing cape. Like, I'm trying to get like the essence of this cape into what I'm doing here. That's so smart. You can easily do that sort of thing because it's your item and you can incorporate it into your actions so effortlessly. So incredible. Since Lee has conduited for quite a long time and is as a seasoned host as well as a player, Lee, from what you were seeing from these two, what were some of the things that stood out to you most?
So the moments that stood out the most for me was the real reactions to things.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's an Aidan specialty right there. You give the best reactions.
Oh my god, yeah. You're but like both of you, like things were happening and the brooding, serious, like no nonsense guy seeing this magic that just defied all reason around him and being afraid.
Amazing.
Or at least
couldn't agree more.
It was so on it.
It was that's a great point. And it also like the fact that you like bought into the story that much made me want to like let you get away with stuff later that otherwise I would have questioned a little more.
And like Tom, you're the silver bullets and steaks guy. You eat magic for breakfast. Breakfast is here to eat you for a change, you know? And like that fear was your attitude was palpable, and it made your behavior feel so much even more justified because yeah, you were on the sidelines because being near the giant spirit tree that is possibly summoning weird multi-tooth frickin' jellyfish thing. Fear. that especially after you're the one who saw its face and got spookum.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for Aidan, I love the moment of like when you bought into my plan and then the plan just completely went and you just were not expecting it.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, what have we done?
See, I was like, no, that's perfect. That's so good because now they have to think about what that means.
Absolutely. And
but even then, trying to viewpoint that at the beginning, trying to like viewpoint like through the image of a face. Like that was so clear. Even if it didn't work, that instinct of like
it did something though. It told him that there was an actual thing there that he could interact with.
Correct. Yeah, it confirmed that it wasn't just face.
Oh yeah.
It never really turned into anything, but it was like information that could have turned into something later on.
Mm-hmm. Which was really good information for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And along those same lines, Aidan, especially now that this is like your fourth full official mission, from your observations of your companions, what were things that stood out to you here?
Anytime Hellspawn said words. It was like the most like fun thing I think out of like most of the mission. Anytime Hellspawn had dialogue, I was like, oh my, I want to hear more, because every time he spoke, it was all of the words were just powerful. Everything that he said, it sounded really important.
Yeah, beautiful character acting and an awesome non-human character too.
Yeah, it was the both like the voice you did and all like the way that he spoke and all like the and what he said was like really, really important. I thought that was fantastic. Malaj being oblivious to like half the shit that happened was awesome. I thought that was He's so engrossed in his thing, and then it had like the fucking the phantasm was just eaten, and no idea. I thought that was super smart, because I just thought it was. I don't know.
It was a really smart play. You're right, because not only did it let Lee focus on what he exactly was doing rather than getting sidetracked, which would be very easy to do, like put out fires rather than like do something a little more productive. I feel like, knowing you, Lee, you were probably also doing it so that you didn't like feel like you were dominating the mission. Like, that was the instinct I got.
I knew my character's goal.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I was like, this person, there is a hidden knowledge, there is a hidden thing, and not only is it hidden, it's being actively sequestered. Nothing else here matters. Everyone can die before that happens.
Yeah. And
it's just like, nope.
A great setup for the character. And also, Aidan, having now played Enclave a bit more, what did this mission introduce to you? Like, what did this mission unlock anything for you about the game that you didn't really realize before?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think this was just like a really good way to like apply like thoughts and ideas.
And that's an excellent news, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means that you've really settled into understanding like the flow of the game, which is brilliant, man.
Yeah, I read some of the book beforehand, which I didn't do on any of the other ones. And so like I didn't have to unlock anything. I knew it was there.
Yeah, and along those same lines, when next you play, Arus will be level 2, so you're going to be able to level him up.
Oh hell yeah!
Sweet.
That's awesome.
And lastly, Tom, first of all, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your companion's actions. What stood out to you?
I mean, you're both obviously like very gracious players. Like, you're giving up like a lot of time and giving the space for others to do things, and I really enjoyed how you picked up on my obviously non-verbal distraction work. That was solid. I was hoping there'd be something there, because obviously can't communicate in character in that moment, in those moments, but you were focused and present on making the best advantage of whatever dumb stuff I was doing, which was really fun.
It was so good. So good.
And very hardly dumb. You had very smart strategic options. And now that you have tried the game, Tom, I would love to hear your thoughts.
It's fun, man. It takes the focus. It really does.
Yeah.
Like, more so than some other systems, you need to be dialed in, because if you miss something, you miss it.
Yep.
And there's no no role you can do to get back, but it feels very immersive. It felt like we were, I don't know, heroes is kind of the wrong word, but we were powered people on this mission, and it really felt the verisimilitude was really strong. And I did very much enjoy your, I guess the kind of original conduiting style. It's
Thank you.
Very fluid.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's the way that I feel like the game tends to be played best. My goal with Enclave, and I think the goal of how the game is designed, is to make all players feel like protagonists. Like that is, you're not necessarily heroes. You're certainly not villains normally, but you are the main characters by far and away.
That's kind of the feeling.
We were kind of villains.
Getting.
You were midway.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we were. Yeah.
We killed a bunch of people.
24 people died horribly.
Yep. And
they died.
Yeah, you freed the
almost
seed.
25.
Yeah, exactly. and I think on top of that, I tried to make it so that the Gerderons were not unpleasant people. Like, you know, they were trying to make a living. But a mission is a mission.
Can't fail.
Yeah, and that's the fun of Enclave.
Yeah.
I love moral ambiguity, and I really like putting my squads into moral ambiguous. Not every time, but oftentimes, because I like the first mission Aidan was on had like 5 factions all fighting each other, and
Yeah.
they all kind of sucked, honestly.
They really did all suck. Yeah.
And one more thing, it was really fun to get to play in an established setting that I knew absolutely nothing about. That was fun.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
No,
the-
that was Hesh's when. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say the
Oh.
idea of having an established thing in my mind wasn't clicking yet, but it makes sense how you could go back to a similar sort of region.
Exactly.
Yeah, my when Arus popped in and he looked around and he saw all these fantastic things and he goes, I think this is my favorite place now. He wasn't kidding. That place is really cool. And he
Yeah.
definitely really enjoyed the place. Not very enthusiastic to go back anytime soon, that's for sure. But the place was really fucking cool.
Oh yeah. And revisiting settings is something that I'm going to be talking about a lot more in future editions, because there is definitely like more finesse to it. But you can easily do it in this one. And if you guys ever wanted to go back to this or another setting, you can give me a focus word and I'll know you're going for it. You give me Hesh as a focus word, I'll know precisely what you want.
Love Hesh.
Any final
3
thoughts?
times.
Thank you for running.
My
I
pleasure.
enjoyed
Man.
myself a lot.
Yeah.
And best of luck with all of the life stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for enduring the baby interruption. He was pretty good. Pretty good today.
Right.
All right, my friends. In
was
that
lit.
case, let us sign off. I'll have you sign yourselves off in the order you signed yourselves in the first point. But until we meet again, my name has been Robbie Howell.
My name, hopefully, is still Lee.
I'm Aidan.
And I'm Tom.
And ciao for now, everyone.